Okay, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Live from Sword Coast podcast. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this evening. Well, actually, not dungeon master. I'm actually going to be your keeper for this evening because you see, tonight we were down a couple of players, so we weren't going to be continuing on with our Warhammer session tonight. But seeing as that we never really want to make bad use out of a gaming night, Greg and I are going to be taking the Call of Cthulhu game published by Chaosium out for a spin. And with me tonight to try this out is, of course, Greg.
Yay.
So both myself and Greg are pretty long time Call of Cthulhu fans, but neither of us have actually played this or run it in quite some time. And what we're going to do tonight is create an investigator for Greg, and then we're going to play the first scenario out of the starter set, the Call of Cthulhu starter set that was just published. Now this has it just came out last year, and it has some really, really good press for it. It was very well received by people as kind of a way to create your character. So we're going to try making an investigator. Now, one of the things that is a significant difference, and this is not news to Greg, but for those listening at home, one of the significant ways that Call of Cthulhu differs from other role-playing games, obviously, is that it's set in, at least at default, and the adventure we're playing is set in the early 1920s, just like H.P. Lovecraft's novels or novellas and short stories, I should say. And it is a horror role-playing game. I'm not certain if it's the first one, but I believe it is. It was the first horror role-playing game published in the early 80s, and the current edition is the 7th edition. And yeah, so anyway, what we need to do first is, I guess the reason I brought that up is because the reason they call it an investigator is because the stuff you do in the game is not like Dungeons and Dragons or other traditional games where you're going out and just like trying to kill stuff and take their loot or do heroic adventure stuff. Call of Cthulhu is like the works of H.P. Lovecraft, is about characters encountering and uncovering the unknown and the unnatural and the toll that takes on their characters. Does that sound like a fair description there, Greg?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay. So first thing we need to do to create your character is create your characteristics. And just like D&D, it's got very similar characteristics. Strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, all are familiar, but there are other stats in this game that are important for a kind of modern era game, including education, your size, your power, which is your willpower, and your appearance. So let's see here. So I know I'm going to open up the starter set only gives you the assign certain points in certain places option, but I think there's an option to roll as well. Which would you prefer to do?
I'm fine with either, but I mean, if we're trying to demonstrate it, we could, I think the rolling is going to be the sort of more, I don't know, that you're going to end up with a more average character if you assign points. You could end up with a more obtuse character if you.
Well, I think it's if you're not set in mind as to what specific career you can go into. One of the interesting things with rolling is seeing what if your physical that can help shape where your character goes.
Right.
So if you want to roll, I'm looking at page 43 of the Investigator's Handbook.
Okay.
This is where the rolling characteristics are set.
So those 3 numbers in the box is your skill roll, and then half your value is a hard roll, and a fifth of your value is the extreme roll.
Got it. Okay. So did we get any? Is there success? Critical. Oh, okay. Hard. Interesting. Okay. So I guess
since I rolled on that, my base characteristic was 50 strength, right? So it's like 50, 25, and 10.
Let me see what. Here we go. Oh, this is okay. So if I open up the tabs here, there's actually some. This is in the Roll20 one for what do you call it? 1920s. You can actually select the era.
Right. And whether we're going to use the pulp rules or the...
Yeah, I have not read the pulp rules since I picked up the book, so we'll stick with the default for now. I do really like the pulp rules though, and I like the idea of using the
it's a little grittier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was just trying to see is if we could find how you roll with bonus or penalty dice, because I don't know what. I don't see a way of toggling that on or off. Companions, mounts, armor, common dice rolls. What is that? Let's see what happens here. No, that doesn't do anything. Okay. Well, anyway. Okay, so have you decided if you want to roll or you want to...
Sure, I'll roll.
Okay, cool. So then what you're going to do is, first, we'll go through them one by one here. Strength is 3d6 times 5.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I suppose I can just type, right? / roll 3d6 plus 5?
Yep, absolutely.
3d6 plus 5.
And
times 5, right?
Times 5, yeah.
Yeah.
The setting for this adventure will be 1922 as well, too, right during Prohibition. I
don't know if that... No, that didn't come out.
Why did it not work? Let's see here.
I can just use roll 3d6.
Oh, you may need to use brackets for orders of operation, maybe? Or if there's a space?
I'll just roll 3d6. I went to school. I can multiply things by 5. Okay, so 15 is a 75.
Huh. Yeah, it didn't work. Nice! 75. So you can go ahead and fill that in your strength characteristic as well.
And so there's a mechanic for just re-rolling, right?
There is. If you go into the tab that has the dice in it,
okay,
it will open up and there will be your last roll. Right at the bottom.
Advanced dice roller?
Scroll right to the bottom. It says last 10 rolls.
I'm not in my dice roller. In on the left-hand side where the random...
Yeah, the little 20-sided dice. If you click on that, it should open up a separate window.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing all the dice options and then advanced dice roller, last 10 rolls. There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Reroll.
Okay.
12, 16.
Nice. Okay.
Call me Clark Kent.
Yeah, no kidding. Size is actually 2d6 plus 6. And then multiplied by 5.
2d6 plus 6. Okay. Oops. 2d6.
Okay.
Oops. Apparently spelling. I can multiply, I just can't spell.
It's tricky.
11.
11, okay. So 55, I guess. And then dexterity is again 3d6. I think intelligence is 2d6 plus 6 as well.
Okay.
And so is education for that matter. So education and intelligence are 2d6 plus 6. The other ones are 3d6 times 5.
Okay, so I'll do dex next. Uh-oh.
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 No sharpshooters.
Okay, appearance. 60.
Great.
Intelligence, 2d6 plus 6, you said?
Yes.
10, so 50. And power is regular, 3d6?
Power is regular 3d6, and education is 2d6 plus 6.
Okay, 45.
And your luck is also 3d6 times 5.
16.
Which I don't think is listed on... Oh, yeah, it's right down there.
Okay. And my luck?
Luck, 3d6 times 5.
Okay.
And you guys fill in that number.
60. Where's luck? Am I missing this? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, sorry, right underneath hit points.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Then your age. So you can choose any age between 15 and 90 for your investigator. if you're between 20 and 30, you make an improvement check for your education. So you roll percentile. If you roll over your education, then you get to increase it by, I think it's one. Actually, I can't remember. Let's see here. Improvement. I'll take a look. There are a lot of Kickstarters or Kickstarter backers in this. It's like 6 pages at the back of the book.
Well, I think I'll just put myself mid-30s. That way I don't suffer any penalties to my physical my physical statistics.
No, and then what you do is you get to make it, you still, at your mid-30s, you do get to make that education improvement check. Let's see here, 45, 48. See what that actually is. I know how...
Is it not over?
Roll over. If it's greater, then you add 1d10 percentage points to your education. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot. 1d10? Good Lord. Oh, well, you're super educated already.
Yeah, I am. So my chances of rolling above it are not.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, roll 1d100.
Let's see. Big money. Oh, no. Okay. All right, then.
I get 2, right? No, it's just 1. Yeah.
Just 1, yeah. Up to 30. If you're in your 40s, then you are, but then you start losing some other attributes. Okay, so then we don't need to worry about calculating half and fifth because the sheet will do it for you. Yep. Your damage bonus is based on your strength plus size. What's your strength plus size? You're pretty big in 130. So you got plus 1d4.
Okay, and that goes
under. Oh, it's already calculated for you. Look at that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fuck, that's cool. Your constitution is your con and size. Or where is it here? Figure out that by adding the con and size together and divided by 10.
So that's already figured out. My hit points are already there too.
Oh, wow. Okay. Con and size.
And my movement is already figured out.
That's awesome.
So
okay, so then I guess the next thing is your occupation. And there's a crap ton of occupations in the...
There is.
Yeah. So the adventure we're playing is going to be going to see you. I'm presuming that you've got some kind of investigative background, be that as like a journalist or a novelist or just like the idle rich or a private investigator, something like that.
Okay. So,
but to be honest, anything will fit. Like, I mean, we know it's an investigative kind of thing. Anything we can just say there's
a table of occupations. Oh,
yeah, on page 68.
68. Yeah, I'm gonna be an assassin. No, I'll be the worst assassin ever with my 30 decks. So.
Yeah, that's great. Criminal.
Yeah. Where are we here? You know what? I'll pick the prototypical private investigator.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so private investigator is on page 87. Okay. So your occupation skill points are your education times 2.
Okay.
Plus either your dex times 2 or your strength times 2.
I think we'll take strength times 2.
Yeah, probably a good bet.
I think.
Let's see here.
Like 310? No. Yeah.
Your education times 2 is 160. Holy shit. That's pretty awesome. And then your strength times 2 is what is that? 150? Yeah.
Yeah, so 310.
Okay, so and those can be spent on your occupation skills.
Right. Art, craft, disguise, law, library use.
Okay, so there's a credit rating listed there, but I'm trying to figure out what it says 9-30. Oh, I guess you got to spend your points on credit rating, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see here.
I think so. I could be a Lovecraftian professor. That would end. So in this new version, does your Cthulhu mythos decrease your sanity like it did in the old one?
I think so. Let's see, and I'll take a look at the.
Yeah, because that would be like, You just okay. So I have 310 points to spend. Well, library use.
Okay, so no, yeah. So just like in the old ones, you can't start with it, and
Let's just check out.
oh yeah, there is a neat mechanic in here that I forgot about, and it's not going to come up tonight. But there's a thing about like being a believer or not. Like when you don't believe in the Cthulhu mythos, you can't get any points in your Cthulhu mythos score, but it doesn't penalize your sanity the same way.
Oh, okay.
If your investigator chooses not to believe what they've read, then the Cthulhu mythos knowledge granted by the book is added to your investigator's skill. Maximum sanity is reduced by the corresponding amount, but no actual sanity points are lost. In this way, your character can accumulate considerable knowledge of the mythos without losing any sanity at all. However, when encountering evidence of the mythos firsthand, your character will realize that those accursed books held the truth. At that point, the character becomes a believer and immediately loses sanity points equal to his or her Cthulhu mythos score.
That's
awesome.
That is epic.
Oh, man.
Okay, let me just find it.
Your character can choose to remain a non-believer until forced to lose sanity for encountering the mythos firsthand. Viewing human corpses or torture may cause sanity loss, but such loss does not lead to belief in the mythos. As a non, yeah, geez. You can also learn spells but not cast them. Yeah, one of the most baffling source books that they put out for this is the Grimoire.
Right.
For those listening at home, they've got a whole grand grimoire of spells that you can pick up, and it's just full of basically every spell that's ever been published for the Call of Cthulhu game. I'm not sure I've ever had characters actually learn magic in a Call of Cthulhu game. They haven't lasted long enough. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it seems...
Well, most of it comes from reading books.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, a long time ago when we played in a game, yeah, we found some books and learned some spells and all that, but it was kind of a mystery. And I think that was an interesting way to play it, was we kind of didn't even realize it was a spell.
Oh, okay.
As much as, you know, we just sort of, it was a ritual and we could partake in the ritual and...
But didn't know what it did?
Well, yeah, we were kind of like, we had to do it.
That's great.
So we read, because like it's in a book, and so we read about these guys doing this incantation, and there was all this like instruction and, you know, like kind of like a recipe for doing it.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to try it, we didn't really know what the outcome was going to be. So
That's
we had
awesome.
to find some willing participants.
So
and then we all got together, and then we really didn't, the game master never told us whether we succeeded or failed. We just saw the result of what we did. So we don't know if that was the desired result or whatever. And then we were like, okay, so if we need to like contact a spirit, like an augury type thing,
we
do this, and hopefully we can recreate what we had before. But then the one time we did it, we totally screwed it up and got some other spirit that we contacted. It was like totally bad, right? And he like haunted us and stuff like that, and we're like, well, we're never doing that again. So is there a limit to the amount I can increase this skill?
I think actually I shouldn't say. I've been reading RuneQuest so much lately that I've got part of those rules drifting around in my head.
When you're allocating,
so you do need to put in so your credit rating, you do need to spend some of your points for your occupation points for that.
I did. I spent 30 points.
Okay, cool.
So do I have to spend a number of points equal to my credit rating, right?
Yeah, and it's got it. So for your career, it's between 9 and 30.
Right. So I took a credit rating of 30.
Yeah.
And I spent 30 points on it. So I have 280 points left.
I don't think there's any limitation for it. Let's see here. Let me go back to the other section. I'm just going on the cheat sheet.
Occupation points are spent as personal interest points, may also be used to further top up these skills if we wish to add such points to the base skill value noted by each skill in the investigator sheet. Oh, that's right, because I get the base value for free.
Yeah.
So if I want to up my library use, I already get 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's already recorded on the sheet too. That's great.
Okay, so
that's super handy.
I'll spend 55 points on library use because it is by far.
This sheet's actually better than the Delta Green one. The Delta Green was a little uncooperative.
Okay. Art, photography, disguise, law. Law would probably be good.
Yeah, as a yeah.
I only need 5 in law because laws don't apply to me because I'm a gumshoe.
I don't know what you guys thought you'd be doing so much investigation. My Call of Cthulhu game was all me spending time in prison.
That's right. My law skill was to try to get me out of prison early.
The 1920s version of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Okay. So
oh man.
Law we'll put 20 points in.
Okay.
2, 5. Okay. Charm. Charm seems like
so they've got contacts listed here as well too. That's interesting.
175.
Oh, it's just stuff for your backstory. Law enforcement and ex-clients. That's cool. This is great too. I had around the time of the anniversary of Lovecraft's death, I was listening to just a ton of this stuff on podcast.
Right.
So I listened to Mountains of Madness and Shadow over Innsmouth and Shadow at a Time, and then a bunch of the short stories. Call of Cthulhu.
And any other skill as a personal or era specialty.
This is for which you're...
I am still on the part of investigator.
Oh, part of it. Yeah.
Computer use, locksmithing, fighting, firearms. Firearms.
Nice. Yeah, firearms is not a bad idea. Although it's
brawling.
Yeah.
I have 45 points left, so I'm going to put 25 points into firearms and 20 points into fisticuffs.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
There's my points done.
All right. So then next thing is, I believe it's your personal interest points, which is calculate personal interest by multiplying intelligence by 2. And then you allot those to any skills to round out your investigator.
Okay. So another 100 points.
So yeah. So your intelligence 50?
Yeah. So but they can go in anything now, right? These are the ones.
Absolutely. Anything you'd like.
Oh yeah. 99 points in Cthulhu Mythos.
That is the one you cannot.
Okay. Well, I would put it in dodge, but alas, my dex is the poo. So,
half of dex.
Yeah.
Oh man. So it's 25. Oh, your dex is 30.
Yeah. Oh, my dex is horrific.
Oh my god. Okay, so there's got to be some reason. Your guy's a big, strong dude.
Oh, I've got like a limp.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
You know, I'm a war veteran, and I suffered a debilitating injury, and so I've got a limp.
So there's I've mentioned this on the channel before, but and I think you and I talked about this. But we when I was a kid, we played more Call of Cthulhu than we did D&D in high school. And one of my friends from high school, his character was a guy named Eric O'Reilly, who was a private investigator who had a limp because of an injury from the Great War.
There you go.
Eric O'Reilly is back. Good Lord. Oh, man.
We'll call 45. So it's 80. And
cool. There's some neat backstory stuff that we've got as well.
90. Ride, sleight of hand, spot hidden, stealth.
Yeah, stealth's never bad either.
Yeah, I've got 10 free points in stealth.
Okay.
So throw track. Yeah, that should be good, I think.
Okay. Yep. So then, whoops, where are we here? Combat values we've calculated already. Term and finances. So finances are on page 57 of the Investigator's Handbook. So your credit rating times 2 is how much money you start with.
Right.
Or how much cash is, which is your cash on hand, and then your assets are equal to 50 times your credit rating.
Okay. So I have... There's some place in my sheet for this. There we go. Is it spending level? No, that's not it.
Yeah, spending limit is $10. And what that is that's the de minimis amount. It's below the notice of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're buying something that's $10 or less, then we don't bother keeping track of that.
Gotcha. Okay. So where are we at?
Yeah, I love that. Wow, that's cool.
Okay. So you said I have how much on hand?
On hand is equal to 2 times your credit rating.
Okay, so I have $60.
Yeah,
and then my assets are 1,500.
Nice, and then your spending level is 10.
10.
Okay.
Yep.
Next is gear and equipment. So equipment lists are on page 238, and weapon list is on 250. I'm not fussed with you having whatever you think is appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably have a revolver or something, right? But
yeah.
There's
an older edition of Call of Cthulhu. I think it's the 4th. That points out that you could go into any Sears and Roebuck and purchase a Tommy gun off the shelf.
Well, yeah. I had a Tommy gun with my very first dude, and it only got me into more trouble than it was worth. Right? Because if it's hoodlums, then you don't really need a Tommy gun. And if it's not hoodlums, then having a Tommy gun really won't help you when the Baki carries you away.
Yes.
Okay. So
other investigators we don't need. Okay.
You're in possessions. Wool suit. Okay. $18.
Prospector. Oh my god.
Okay.
So the careers. While Gray's going through, I'll just mention some of the more unusual. You could be an acrobat as an occupation, bank robber, aviator, love it. Chauffeur, cult leader, good lord. Elected official, lumberjack, pretty important.
Okay.
Mountain climber.
I'm not going to worry about personal stuff, lodging, speakeasy, real estate, furniture, medical equipment.
Well, say your guy is located maybe in Chicago.
Sure.
That's got...
I thought for a second you were going to stick me in Arkham.
No.
Oh boy.
Oh, I do have the Arkham. Yeah, that's right. Arkham County is...
Nothing good ever came from starting in Arkham.
No. Well, it's in Massachusetts, so...
Yeah, it's just up the coast from Boston.
Yeah.
And just about the right distance from Innsmouth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Or maybe we'll set you in Boston instead then, actually. The adventure actually takes place in Michigan. But,
yeah.
Boston seems a good stone's throw from Lovecraft County.
Okay. Wow. Oh, I need to have a pocket watch.
The guy who does the illustrations for 7th, he does the covers for a bunch of the stuff. And he's also done illustrations for like Kobold Press for some of their stuff and for Starfinder. What's his name here? Interior. I can't remember what his name is, but he's fucking awesome. Really. He seemed to come out of nowhere too. Like I hadn't seen his work in other stuff. Let's see. So he does a cover, I think, of Pulp Cthulhu. So what his name is?
Strange Entertainment.
Victor Manuel Leza Moreno. He is amazing. He's kind of like the what do you call it? The Jeff Easley or Larry Elmore of the late 2010s. Because he seems to be doing covers for everyone right now. and interior illustrations.
Okay. Well, so it's showing ammunition
On the character sheet or in
in the book, but there's no listing for firearms, I don't think.
Oh, firearms are, I think it's 260.
Okay.
Oh no, that's Lovecraft County.
Outdoor travel.
Here we go. Firearms are on page 250.
250. Okay. Handgun.
Yeah. I should have all the guns and stuff listed.
Oh, there we go. That's a good choice. What's the? Oh, that's the cost in modern. Okay.
There's actually a bunch of them
because it had two price values, right? So I was like, one is the modern cost.
Well, you know, if you want easier, so page 179, it actually has illustrations of all that, and about 3 or 4 pages forward, there's illustrations and 20s costs for everything.
Right.
Because clearly you're going to want to get yourself a Vickers caliber machine, 303 machine gun.
Yeah. I went into the future and I bought a Desert Eagle. Because, that's going to have lots of stopping power.
Well, the M119 or M1911 is apparently available.
M1911. Was that a rifle?
Pistol. Oh, hold on, maybe I'm wrong here. No, it's talking about the 20s, so it looks like it is.
Am I just missing it?
I'm on page 180. Oh, okay. Top left.
Oh, 180.
Yeah.
So I bought your typical the service revolver, the 45 automatic.
Yeah.
So guessing that is what we're talking about here. Because in the weapon listing, it's just listed as 45 automatic. So I'm guessing that's exactly what it is, the M111. Yeah, $40. Yep, that's what I bought.
Okay.
So it's a typical military service revolver, right?
Yes, it is.
Not a revolver, but like a pistol.
Yeah.
So I would have experience with that. Yeah, I think I'm good. If I need something, I can go to the sporting goods store and buy it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not...
So I spent $490 of my hard-earned dollars. So I have $1,010 left.
Okay.
I'm good.
Excellent. And okay, hold up. You know what we'll do? Steve is free to join us if we watch. I mean, what I'll do for Steve, we won't make a character for him. I'll just give him a pre-gen.
Sure.
Let's see here. Steve likes doing Call of Cthulhu. Boom, there we go. Okay. So let me create a quick, add a new character here. And character. And let's see here. Oh boy, so you're the private investigator. So let's wait for Steve to get on here. I'll minimize this sucker here. And I'll let him know an invite's been sent. Okay, that's part of the fun of, Call of Cthulhu is perfectly playable solo too, but part of the fun is seeing the players talk amongst each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so I think we're good. Weapon.
Okay.
What's the difference between the firearm skills? HG and RS.
Handgun and
okay. Yeah.
Rifle skill.
Rifles, shotgun, probably.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just watching the thing here to see if Steve-O is going to join.
Yeah, there's a great map of Lovecraft Country in, I think it's page 261.
Yeah.
Of the Investigator's Guide.
Yeah, and like having listened to a lot of those. Oh, Colorado Space was another one I listened to. Like, it's cool how much that listening to all of them together really made me realize just how much he had built it up in his mind. Like, this isn't a creation after the fact by the game designers. This is something he clearly had in his mind with the later novels. There's The Thing on the Doorstep was the one that had, what's his name? Not Waitley, but one of the other Ephraim Waite. Is that his name? The wizard or whatever. And he married. The story. The narrator, it's a friend of his who married this woman who had the Innsmouth look to her, and then she turns out to. There's a surprise at the end of the story.
Spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm spoiling like a nearly 100-year-old story.
Spoilers.
Oh, good golly.
Okay,
let's see here. I'll send another invite to Steve-O. In case he's having difficulty. Okay.
Seven.
My apologies to the folks in the stream who just get to see my inbox there for a second. All right. So one of the pre-generated characters is a guy named Nevada Jones, who is an archaeology professor.
That's awesome. Nevada Smith.
Yeah, jeez. I remember in the old Captain Carrot comics, there was a character whose name was Oklahoma Bones, who was he was a
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah. Now we're done playing. This is it. We're never playing D&D again. We're just playing Call of Cthulhu.
Nope, only Call of Cthulhu
from now
on. Oh man. Okay, so I am waiting to hear. So we'll make the decision for Steve. He can be a history student, a science student, an engineering student, an archaeological professor named Nevada Jones, or a languages professor. And we've already got the brawny, as attractive as the Airsats Indiana Jones might be. That's kind of your character shtick. So maybe someone who's a little more cerebral.
Yeah, I'm like envisioning my dude like Mickey Rourke from what's it called? The
Angel Heart?
No, that would be kind of cool too. No, the one with Jessica Alba, the comic.
Oh, Sin City?
Sin City.
Yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just the like gruff, probably was like a sergeant or something in the military and, took a wound and now I've been sent home and society has done me wrong.
Yeah.
So have we discovered what those two dice options are yet?
No, I have not figured out what the difference is between those two things.
I'm going to click some dice and see if we can...
Sure, so we can figure out what the heck is...
That is that.
Because it's not like it's displaying different dice outcomes.
For me, it's showing... Oh, so you know what? The first one is a test because it's showing the levels of success. So I'm seeing like the +2, +1, 0, -1, -2, right?
Yeah.
It's showing that. So that's like I think the test, whereas the other one is just a straight.
Well, no, because you can't, like, you click on it a couple times, it'll show you when you're making a hard success or a critical. Like, try clicking on it a couple more times.
On the button? On the...
the smaller one, the green one.
Okay.
Success. Because when I was testing it out earlier, I saw that I was getting that result as well. But surely, I mean, it's such a good...
So that's just testing against your skill, right?
Yeah.
Because it's showing the thresholds.
Let's see here.
But that is showing.
Because like if let me see here, can I get it to do me? There you go. See, check it out. Like it can show you just the extreme success.
Right. Because isn't that how much you succeeded? So I beat the last number, right? Whereas the other ones are I failed to beat the simple check.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So I think those are for. Well, I guess you could still test against the ability, but
okay.
I don't know.
You know, here,
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna make. So Steve is just gonna be a minute or so. So I'm gonna make the executive decision. He's going to be Wentworth Avebury.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Avebury.
And I'll quickly fill out his things here.
Oh, so I think that full value one is maybe for opposed checks.
That would make you're absolutely right. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Whereas the other one is for testing.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Right. Yeah, so the one with incremental is skill rolls because they have difficulty levels, whereas the other one is an opposed roll.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, thanks for setting aside that Laughter of Dragons for me as well too.
Did you get those other two Starfinder products?
What were the? No, I didn't know. What were the Starfinder ones?
There was a. Here, let me pull it up. It was on the store's Facebook page.
Sure.
One was, I think, an adventure.
If it's one of the AP ones, I get that through my subscription to.
So there was new releases. Not today. Not yesterday. So much spam. Okay. There we go. So there was two Starfinder. There was a Starfinder. Was it Sun Divers? The Dawn of Flame.
Yeah. So the AP I get through my subscription.
Okay. There was a. Oh, here we go. So there must have been two separate adventures because I remember Edward saying that we missed some of them.
Oh, okay.
So there was the Penumbra Protocol and the Sun Divers.
Yeah.
But there was a Close Encounters Onyx Station.
Close Encounters Onyx Station. Is that a third-party thing, or is it?
I think so.
Okay.
And there was a Alien Bestiary.
Oh yeah, that I wanted to check out because that's that one I didn't. They had trouble finding the stuff when I came in, so.
So I wasn't sure if you wanted it, so I didn't, and also didn't know how many we got.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't actually set them aside, but I mean, if those are things that you're interested in, I can definitely put you down. And then, so we get it from 3 different distributors. It comes kind of incrementally. So we'll get a restock. Well, not so much a restock, but we'll get this sort of second allotment.
Okay. Yeah, and please. I'll definitely take one of those.
The Alien Bestiary?
Yeah, please.
Okay. And you can look into that. Just message me on that Onyx Station if you want to look and see what it is. I think it's actually kind of like a campaign.
Oh, okay.
Or it's called Close Encounters Onyx Station. So yeah, I didn't really.
It could be what do you call it? Okay, I don't know. That's going to be useful. The thing I find attractive about the Bestiary is that because of the way you make monsters in Pathfinder or in Starfinder, I'm not worried about it being third party, completely.
And there was a starter box. You saw the starter box, right?
Oh, I didn't know. I came.
Okay, so the starter box might have shown up literally just after you left.
Oh shit!
It was there when I got there.
Okay, I'll swing by maybe tomorrow afternoon and snag it then because I definitely want to get a copy of that.
Close Encounters Onyx Station introduces brand new rules for 12 creatures from soul draining shadow sludge to monstrous columns of flesh.
Ooh.
Okay. So it looks like a setting. There's monsters roaming the halls of Onyx Station. Yeah, it looks like it's a campaign toolkit for players level 1 to 10.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out then. The starter set I definitely want to snag.
Okay.
I've been I've heard it's got slightly streamlined rules in it, and I'm curious to see what those are. Okay, so I think Wentworth is set here. He has no weapons. Cool. The pre-generated stuff for RuneQuest is actually really, really cool too.
Oh, the new stuff, right?
The Gloranther one, yeah. Yeah, it's got some really good, like they're good because that game is so. I've never played it before, and it's such a different animal to like D&D or level-based play. They've got a good selection of different types of characters. You know how to build them as samples. Hey, there's the man, Steve. Oh, what's shaking? Are you muted? Oop. I can see him, but I cannot hear him. You're muted now. I see there's a mute thing on there.
No.
Hey, there he is. Here, Steve, I'll send you a link to the game we're in.
Okay, cool.
Tonight, we are playing Call of Cthulhu. So I hope you're up for some Lovecraftian horror.
Heck yeah.
Okay, I sent that. If you follow that link through, that'll take you through to the game. And we just finished adding your stats for your character. So you'll need to. So you've cast yours as Mickey Rooney, or Mickey Rourke, right?
Mickey Rooney. Nice.
Mickey Rooney. I'll be Mickey Rooney from Night at the Museum. There we go.
Okay, so Steve, you're playing Wentworth at Avebury.
All right.
And Wentworth is a languages professor who lives in Arkham. Oh, I'm getting feedback from somebody.
Probably me. Hold on. That's why I put my mute on all the time. Right.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay. And so, Steve, the other stuff to know about your character is, let's see, under your backstory. Personal description. You wear a slightly worn suit. You're of average height. You have a trim mustache. You use a monocle rather than spectacles when examining text. This is set in 1922, incidentally, as well. So let's see here. Whoa.
Cool.
And what else we got? What your guy? Your ideology. You have a lifelong interest in myth and folklore. You're willing to believe in the reality of the supernatural, but you have yet to find any hard evidence. The significant people, your late wife, Jane, you think there was something she wanted to tell you before she died. A meaningful location for you is a quiet woodland space where you can listen to the birds and relax with a good book. Treasured possession is a small frame containing a photograph of Jane, your late wife. And your trait is inquisitive. You take a meticulous approach to investigation. And this is the illustration they had for your character in the starter set.
Oh, I like it. I look like a pompous douchebag. I love
it is. So, Steve, this is, let me hit to refresh on Roll20. Your camera's not working for me in Roll20, but let's see if I can fix that. And boom. No, I still don't see you there, Steve-O. I see, like, your avatar is in Roll20, but I don't see your camera working. Is the camera working for you in Roll20? Hey, there we go. Oh, you might want to mute. I think you're getting some feedback. Back. Okay. So, let's see here. Steve, the other thing to know about this, Greg and I talked about this beforehand, but one of the ways that this game differs significantly from other types of role-playing games that we've played is that this is an investigative game, right? Like it's you going out and your characters are actually called investigators rather than like heroes or champions or whatever. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the extent of the background we need. Your character is, if you click on the character sheet for Wentworth, you can see that. And this is a percentile-based system. So what you'll do is under the character sheet, where am I here? Boom, there we go. When you're asked to roll things, if you are in a contested roll, you're going to click on the green button. If it's just a regular roll, you're going to click on the black one. So why don't you let's try something you're actually good at. Would you kindly click on persuade for me? Just a regular test, not a contested. So the black button, the black D20 next to it. Persuade is a skill. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. So what this tells me, Steve, looking at your result there, you can see there's a bunch of different like fractions here. The 60 is your full skill. That's at a normal test. The next one is at hard, which is at 30, so half your skill. And the next one is at extreme, which is 3 times, or was it 4? A quarter of your skill. So, yeah, and then you can see what success you've made here. You made a success on hard because you rolled a 22. That makes sense?
Wait, hold on here. So wait, I rolled a 22 on 60 under 60 and a 58 under 30 and a 42 under 12.
Yeah.
And that 42 beats the 12, and so it's a success on.
So no, your value is a 60.
Yep.
So the now I don't know why they've got 3 different results here. To be honest, I don't know.
Well, but do they give you like 3 different rolls, one for each?
No, I actually don't know why they give you. I think one of them is in the event that you're going to swap. There is a mechanic called bonus dice and penalty dice where you can roll a second dice and you can replace one of the like you can replace the tens digit with either a higher number or a lower number, depending on if you got bonus or penalty. But I don't know, Greg, do you have any thoughts as to why they roll 3 times?
Oh, so whichever threshold you're picking. So if you're rolling against the base value, that's the first roll. If you're rolling against half value, that's the second roll. And if you're rolling against the extreme value, that's your third roll.
But that doesn't make sense to me because
no, I don't think so.
No, because then it also shows like I think the results it's showing there are from the first roll, right?
Right, like his persuade check, right? Yeah. Yeah.
It is really not clear at all. Yeah, it's certainly intuitively that would seem like 3 rolls would correspond with each of the difficulties.
Yeah, and I don't know why they've got 3 on there.
Yeah. So and I don't understand how do you know it? Is it like the hard is a success because it's a green?
So
but why
what a hard
green?
is? So the top one is if you're doing if you're making a test against a hard difficulty, then what you need to roll against is the second number under the value because it's half of your skill. You rolled a 22, which means you did roll a hard success, which is why it's showing as hard.
Okay.
Dice.
But I wait. I rolled a hard success, but I didn't roll a regular success with
No, you rolled a regular success. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Do the pluses and minuses mean plus and minus dice?
Yeah.
Are those bonuses? Oh, okay.
I think so. Because it says for each bonus die, roll an additional tens die alongside the usual pair of percentage dice.
Because you can have more than one bonus dice. That's why that's there. Okay,
you're now rolling 3 separate dice. One units die and 2 tens die. To take the benefit of the bonus, use the tens die that yields the better result.
Yes. Okay. So what that means then, Steve, is so each of if you're just rolling with no bonuses whatsoever, you just take the 0 amount, the one in the middle there, and that tells you because you rolled 30 under, or you rolled under 30, you made a hard success. Because hard is equal to half of your skill. If you had a bonus dice, you would take the best of either 22 or 58. Okay? And if you had 2 bonus dice, you would take the best of all 3 of those. That's why it says, at 0, you get a hard success. At +1, a hard success. At +2, you get a hard success. So 22 is the best number you're going to roll for all those 3. If it was the reverse, where it was a penalty, you're still going to get every single one of those dice rolls is below 60. So you're still going to get a success even with 2 penalty dice. So that's why it's got like the +1, -1. Click on it again. And let's see. We're going to use one more as an example. Yeah, I forgot it's not like advantage where you can only get one. You can get multiple bonus dice. Interesting. Okay, so then looking at this one, you've got a 60, which means that if you have one penalty dice, you take that first one, a 75, which means you would have failed. And then if you had 2, you're still super fail. Because you take the lowest, or rather the highest result when you got penalty.
Right.
And the best dice roll you got was a 53, which was below the amount, or below the it's still below your stat, but it's not below half of your skill, so it's not a hard success.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. That's the game in a nutshell.
Okay. Sweet.
Okay.
And yeah, that's you just apply the bonus and penalty dice. We really don't.
Yeah.
Right. That's the game master just assigns whether we have a bonus. It's like the equivalent of advantage, disadvantage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's why don't we take just we'll take a 5-minute break right now, or not? I'll take a 2-minute break. I just want to grab a drink and go to the washroom, and then we'll come back and we will play the paper chase.
Okay.
Cool.
Booyah Saga.
All right. So are we ready to roll?
There, that's what I found on the Roll20 forums about
itself. Oh, okay, cool.
Talking about how the dice.
When you roll the button, you'll see versus standard versus hard versus extreme. Compare the appropriate threshold. Okay. All right. So, let me see here. Your names are Russell Anderson and Wentworth Avesbury.
Yeah, so it looks like when they tried to do this, they were struggling with changing the tens die.
Okay.
Here we go. Let me just cut and paste this. This is some dude's comment. Yeah, the bonus penalty dice, but the author couldn't find a way to add the tens only, so he did it with a D100.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So, because that's otherwise all you'd be changing is the first digit.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can just do that. So if it does fall on the threshold where there's a case where, one's like a slightly over, slightly under, we'll just use to your benefit, or whatever the first one is. So like if Steve, if you had a 63 in Persuade, and then one of the difficult rolls was 73, then you actually hold on. We'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. It's such a situational thing. I don't think we need to worry about it. So let's turn our minds back to 1922. So a date before, I think, the birth of any of our parents. So 1922, I was thinking about this when I was walking the dog today when we decided to play Call of Cthulhu. And, setting aside cultural, mores and things like that, the 20s is really it is in many ways a very alien time from what we, understand. Like, distances are a hell of a lot more vast, than what they are, but they are breached by way of telegram, by way of letter and parcel. Lovecraft himself has, written tens of thousands of letters in the course of his lifetime, which is crazy. I mean, that's obviously a fairly extreme level of correspondence, but that's the kind of, the world that you guys would be inhabiting, is that correspondence by way of post is a much more viable way, but real way of keeping in touch. So even though you're living in one place, you're still in touch with people in different parts of the country. Steve, your character lives in Arkham County, which is north of Boston in Massachusetts. And Greg, we said your character Russell is a private investigator based out of Boston, right?
Right.
So I think what's happened is we're going to say that Wentworth, you are a friend of the family to it's a family known as the Kimballs, and it's by way of marriage that you've met. Your immediate circle is friends with, or is related to, this daughter who has married this guy named Thomas Kimball, and because of I think that you've got a bit of a reputation for interest in the obscure and the arcane. When strange circumstances come up, people sort of know the circles you keep. You're well known as someone who is keen to investigate oddities. And what has happened is the Kimballs, Thomas Kimball, who's married to this, we'll call her Elaine Kimball, and through her family, they've reached out and tried to hire someone to help. They've got Thomas lives in a town called Arnoldsburg, Michigan, and he needed someone to hire. Or he needed to hire someone to look into something strange that's been going on in his house. To that end, you also asked around and found out that there was an investigator out of Boston, a private investigator who seems to be, he's got some good inroads as well or he's well spoken of, I should say. And his name is Russell Anderson. Greg, why don't you tell Steve about Russell?
Well, Russell's a gritty old gumshoe, suffered a leg wound in the Great War, and is just eking his way by, taking on whatever jobs he can.
Okay. So you, the two of you took the train up from, let's see here, Michigan. There is actually a list of travel times, which is kind of neat. So, but you'll take the, I think you met up in Boston, in spite of a sort of scruffy, exterior. What you've heard, or what you heard by way of telegram, is that there's two things that he wants to investigate. Is someone broke into his house and apparently stole some books. Kimball says, or at least the telegram says, that he had inherited this place from his uncle. His uncle's name is Douglas Kimball. He it was about a year before is when he inherited the place. And someone recently broke in, and he wonders whether this is related to his uncle's disappearance. So they wanted someone to come to Arnoldsburg and to investigate why he is, who it was who broke in, and if possible, to uncover whatever happened to his uncle, because the sort of local police department did not seem to, their investigation. Actually, I guess that as far as Thomas knows, is they don't know what what's happened. They just know he's gone missing, and now they've inherited this place. So that's what brings you guys to Arnoldsburg, Michigan. Now you can bring whatever you think is appropriate with you as well, and you'll have had time on the trip down to to get to know each other, to find out. So you can assume that you've spent enough time so you're familiar with what you're going to do, and if we need to do flashbacks to fill in, what you guys talked about your tasks and whatever. But before we launch in, let's just quickly talk about what an investigative scenario really entails. An investigation is obviously different than your standard kind of plot-driven role-playing game adventure. These kinds of adventures require you to sort of search out clues. I can't remember if it's in this edition they talk about it, but the previous editions of Call of Cthulhu talk about these adventures being like onions, where you start off on the one layer, and then you're going to uncover things, and it will peel back that layer, and then there's another layer, and you'll investigate that stuff, and you'll peel back, and there's more as you go along. So what that means is that to conduct the investigation, you're going to want to be going around securing clues and so forth, and trying to uncover if you don't know what to do next in an adventure, you're going to want to look around for more clues. So the examples, this is from the starter set as well, and examples they give of things you could do is like asking around the neighborhood, looking around a graveyard, local research at the library, talking to the police, looking at back issues of a local newspaper, the Arnoldsburg Adventurer. Is that what it's called? Advertiser, sorry. Or looking around the Kimball house itself. And you can also come up with other things as well. So that we'll pick up with you guys having arrived in town in Arnoldsburg. You hired a taxi. We've seen your characters get out with, I think, Russell, you've probably got more meager belongings than what our dear professor has here. But you guys are walking up to the, we'll pick up with you guys approaching the Kimball residence. So the residence itself is Arnoldsburg is not a particularly large town. I'm picturing this being it's a kind of quiet Michigan suburb. This is basically the heyday of Michigan. This is when the auto industry is really starting to ramp up. There isn't the urban decay that we see happen in the 70s and 80s and carry on through. This is, a lovely small town. I'm picturing that it is probably about maybe midsummer. That's probably time for you to get away from your lecturers, professor. And Russell, you, of course, it doesn't really matter what time of year it is for you. You'll just go where the job is. The house itself is a two-story older building, and it is in a bit. The town itself is probably maybe like 100 or 200 years old. It's one of these ones that's been around for quite some time. There's these stone-based buildings, these beautiful white painted wooden houses. But there's also a lot of overgrowth in between. There's a lot of trees that, tree-filled backyards. And then the town itself has sort of grown organically the way that very old cities and towns did, as opposed to, more modern villages or towns or cities that are laid out in an orderly kind of fashion. To that end, there's actually behind the Kimball house, there is something that has been, some ambitious developer has set out a lot, but it's completely undeveloped. and you can picture that there's probably a big gap between maybe like one lot or two between the different houses that are in here. So you guys arrive, and it's paved. It's not like in the sticks necessarily, but yeah, you guys walk up to this lovely house. You knock on the door, and the person who answers the door is looks like he's dressed like a professional. He's got a suit on. He is a man in his probably like early 30s. He answers the door, and he looks at the two of you and says, "Oh, you must be Professor Avery and Mr. Anderson."
The same.
Wow, lovely. I'm so glad you came. I'm Thomas Kimball. Please come inside. Come inside. Did you have difficulty finding the place?
No.
Oh, good. Did you come directly from the train station?
We did.
Okay, well then you must be parched then. Please, here, and he brings you into the sitting room and says, "Go ahead, have a seat, and I'll quickly fetch." Elaine's out right now, but I'll fetch us drinks. I imagine that you want to rest for a moment. So he goes off, gets you drinks, brings them back, and he sits down and says, "Well, then, would you like some time to freshen up, or would you?" I've never had to retain someone like this before, so
perhaps it'd be best if we just got down to business.
Oh, of course, yes. Well, I'm not quite sure how to go about this, but so my uncle, who I didn't know him terribly well, but our family does not have. He had no children, and of our family, I was the eldest surviving. He's my brother, or my father's brother. What Uncle Douglas, he was, to be honest, a bit of a queer man. He kept to himself. He read. He sort of gestures to one part of the house. He says, "We've still got his study is nearly full to the rafters of books," and that seems to be what the extent of his passion was: books and reading. And it seems that what we heard from the estate lawyer was that one day he just upped and disappeared. And after a few days, the neighbors realized that when the milk was piling up out front, that no one was inside looking in. There was no scene of foul play, or no indication that anything violent had befallen Uncle Doug, but he just up and left. And knowing him as I did, I can't imagine that there are many, who like to get out and see the world, socialize, meet people, stay part of society. Uncle Douglas was not like that. He was content to stay at home and read, and content to stay with his books. So it is quite unlike him to suddenly disappear. But what's happened is recently, I'm trying to find the time. About 2 weeks ago, we had someone break into the house. They broke a window to get past the locked door. They came in, and from what we can tell, they took some of Uncle Doug's books. Nothing else seemed to be missing, and there's no other sign of a disturbance, but it just seems queer that someone would come and collect and to steal Uncle Douglas's books. So it just...
And were you aware of which books they were?
No, I haven't. It didn't seem like there was many. Perhaps it might be best to show you. And he kind of gets up and walks across the old house to another room. He gets there, opens the door and reveals the study. And actually, let's go into the. This is not as dark as the house is. Now, what you can tell is that in this house, the furniture is all quite old. It does look like they're just using, like, Thomas is a relatively young man. Professor, that his wife Elaine, she's quite young as well too. She's in her late 20s. This is the furniture and the accoutrements of a much older man, or an older person. So it seems like they're sort of living in it, but you can tell that there's little touches here and there from where a woman's touch has been put in. There's some fresh flowers in places and whatnot. And it does look like the place has been tidied up quite a bit as well. At least the places you can see. There's, paintings and whatnot. And you can tell from the slight discoloration of the wallpaper that there's been a bunch, paintings or photographs that have replaced whatever was once on the wall. Because there's discolorations from where the old things were, where things are missized. But you go to where the study is, and you get a sense of what this house must have been like before they came here. Because when the door is open, it is almost ceiling to floor piles of books in there.
So how long ago, I asked him, how long ago did your uncle disappear?
It was 1 year, roughly 1 year.
And so why now are you deciding to pursue this? It's
to be honest, it's more. Uncle Douglas was an unusual character, but he was my dad's father, or my father's brother, and father always looked on him like a pitiable case. He was harmless and he was about this high, and he sort of gestures up to about 5 foot, maybe about 5'7" or 5'8". He was about this, he carried, he had a paunch as long as I've known him, bald with glasses. And if there is a chance that whoever came in to steal Uncle Doug's books knows what happened to him, I would just prefer to know that.
Do you have any pictures of your uncle?
Like,
there are paintings here or portraits or something?
Unfortunately, no. Uncle, I have photographs from my father and he when they were children, but because Uncle Douglas lived on his own and kept largely to himself.
Do you know if his disappearance was published in the newspapers? There are perhaps pictures of him in past issues of the newspaper when he disappeared?
It's something I haven't looked into. I wouldn't know how to secure. When we were contacted by the estate lawyer to find about the house, we have spent much of the year getting things in order from Michigan, or was it Detroit? Me and Elaine and I were living in Detroit at the time, and to relocate here has spent and getting ourselves situated and getting the house in order has largely occupied much of our time. So we did not think to spare the time to inquire into these things.
Okay.
Now, I'm not seeking to have you do this for charity. I can pay you $10 and any expenses each, and any expenses that you may incur in connection with this as well. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to prey on my wife's family's friends without benefit. But you're free to stay in the house as well too. We have set aside 2 guest rooms for you as well.
I'll kind of hobble around the library, like just looking all, typical, lift up a book, kind of dust it off if there's dust on it, right? Sort of like look at the seam, just to get an idea of what type of books there are in the library.
Sure. So it seems that Uncle Douglas was extremely well read because there are books of almost every topic you can conceive of. There's books on history, there's books on politics, books on literature, there's philosophy texts, science. He seems like he was curious about a great many things. It also seems there's not really a great deal of organization that's gone on amongst these things as well. But what you can tell, though, to the tome is that apart from the sort of layer of dust that seems to have accumulated on some of these piles of books, every single one of these books seems to have had a great deal of care and attention lavished on it. They're all in extraordinarily good condition.
So from just casually looking around the library, is there any gaps in the shelves? Like somebody came and took a book off the shelf and just, like the books are so all the shelves mostly full to the point where there's piles of books on the floor, and then maybe there's a noticeable gap on one of the shelves.
Why don't you give me, let's see here. I think that'll be, I'm trying to decide it's either education or, well, because there's not really an organization to it. Education wouldn't help you. Give me a spot hidden check, please.
Sure. And it's the black one?
Yes, please. So what you kind of, your eyes narrow and you're looking around at these things. And as I said, there's a bit of a layer of dust on kind of everything in the study as well. But you can tell that there are 2 or 3 stacks at different kind of parts of the room and 1 or 2 points on the shelf where it seems that there are clear places where the dust has not settled. Or that there's clear patches where no doubt, it's either the cover or the cover of the book that should have more dust on it compared to its neighbors, or there's spots on the shelf where there are books missing and you can see that there isn't the accumulated dust that there is on the other parts. So it seems like there has been books taken from a number of different places here.
Okay. Is there especially on the shelves? I would get that the piles of books on the floor are not going to have any organization like that, that they were maybe waiting to be put away. But the shelves, I kind of examine the shelves and see if there's any rhyme or reason to how the books are set up on the shelves.
It does look like at some point Uncle Douglas may have tried to have some kind of organization, but the books that seem to be missing from the shelves are also it's a random grab bag. There's a section that covers classics, and there's a tome that seems to be missing from there, and there's another one on geography, where it's talking about its maps or atlases or things like that, and there's one missing from there. And there's in the pile, you look at the pile from the side, and it seems as if the pile is mostly things dealing with politics. I guess it would be politics at this point. And there's, it looks like there's, one stack has been set aside, and then because you can tell that from and this would be based on your extreme result from it. You can see that a stack has been picked up, placed down, and you can tell from the disturbance of the dust on the ground. And then some book has been taken out, and then the one beneath that has no dust on it whatsoever. So it's as if someone went and took one book from the middle of this stack as well.
Right. They were looking for specific books.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you do, I will say as well too, just with the extreme, you do spare a look down to see if there's any markings on the ground or anything like that. And someone's been clearly there's so many footprints going around and whatnot, you can't tell, likely the, Thomas and his wife have probably been in here quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So what Thomas will tell you as well is that the local newspaper it's called the Arnoldsburg Advertiser.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good place to start. And
he says the man you might speak to there, I've met him socially. His name's Artie Malloy. Actually, here, I'll type it in the thing here.
Artie Morty.
Artie Malloy is the the advertiser or the newspaper editor.
Okay.
And there's a one of my neighbors as well too is Mrs. Odell. Though she's a bit of a, I don't like to gossip, but she seems to be quite conscious of
coming and going.
That, and she is she fancies herself somewhat of an old family person, and fit only to talk those of certain stations. She kind of looks at from the professor and then looks at you. So guessing that, you know, she may be, she's a snob.
Okay.
So if Mrs. Odell seems quite cognizant of everything that goes on in this neighborhood, though, I would be careful in your approaches to her.
Okay. Okay.
He looks out the window and he says, "Oh, I nearly forgot too. There's a path leading out the back as well, which leads through the lot behind. And what I had heard is that Uncle Douglas used to like going along there and going to read. He had some spot he enjoyed reading."
Okay. In the empty lot.
I believe so.
Okay. Let me take a look. Okay. Well, I think we have enough information to get started.
Excellent. Wonderful. Then I'll leave you to it then. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask me or Lainey, and we will be happy to help.
Okay.
Though I trust you both to know what needs doing. And thank you. And he goes over and shakes your hand, Russell, and then shakes your hand, Professor. Well then. And he takes I nearly forgot, and takes a key off of the desk, and this for yourself, for the comings and goings. No one locks their doors here, at least not during the day, but we've taken to doing that at night now.
Okay. And what time of day is it now?
Probably, I don't know, mid to late afternoon.
Okay, sure. Like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
something.
yeah. So, what would you guys like to do? You have the run of Arnoldsburg, Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
I hear it's the prairie, the Paris of the Rust Belt.
Of the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have a couple ideas, but what's your relationship to this family?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What's my relationship with the family?
Yeah.
Your family is friends with his wife's family.
Right.
With Elaine's family.
Kimballs or whatever, right? Or,
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, so I think the 3 leads, one of them, it's going to be really hard to locate this guy without a picture. So at some point, maybe it might be too late today, we go to the newspaper and see if we can find, they probably have old issues that they keep in their archives. Perhaps there's a stock photograph of this guy that we might be able to get. Talking to the neighbor, I think that's up to you.
Good thinking. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
The other place that I'm kind of interested is like an I don't know if is it an somewhere in the town that would keep building records,
Town hall.
like an
Or
assay
city
or
records.
something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that perhaps there might be building records that were filed when the building was built that might show more to this, because an older house, it might have some passages or something like that.
So the house is it's a 2-level building, and it's got a earth floor cellar as well. But it's not it's the picture I'm using is really only because I this is the coolest and most atmospheric illustration I could find. Yeah, it's not like a sprawling mansion or something like that. It's a decent, like, it's a nice
But
sized house.
there might be like like a hidey holes, or like secret panels,
Sure, yeah,
something like that we would see from the blueprints.
Okay.
That there were spaces between walls or something where stuff might be secreted away.
So I think that just because, again, let's go into the 1922 setting for it. Knowing this house is probably an older house as well too. It's likely that for a small town in 1922, there probably aren't that level of detail that you could find at the Hall of Records.
Right.
In a bigger city, maybe, and there would be a better way of tracking property deeds and stuff like that, like to find out who owned the different things, but or the land titles office, I guess. But the way that to best sort of figure out what the layout for this place is would be to sort of snoop around, right? It's going around and
rooting around in their house when they're out.
Yeah. See, he's got, like, this guy, he's a professor. I think he's probably, I'll say he's an accountant. That's probably why he's trying to set himself up as a small town accountant, and his wife works as a school teacher. Okay. So that's why she's out of the house right now. He's going to be gone. So you will definitely be able to find a time to sort of, to go where you want.
Right. Okay.
So what would you like to do, guys?
I don't know. What do you feel like doing, Steve?
Yes. Well, I definitely think we should start by visiting the paper, and I want to. Is there a bio on my guy?
Is there a bio?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like? Oh, did you
send an email? Yeah, sorry. You didn't send a bio with you didn't send me an email with a bio on this guy.
No, I got. So your guy is. It sounds like he's got a late wife. So you got a dead wife. Right. You're a professor of languages at Arkham University.
Arkham University.
Yeah.
Sort of languages.
You're a widower.
Right.
And you got a lifelong interest in myth and folklore. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, you can feel free to fill out what kind of you want about your dude. We know that he's, just from his skills and his stats, kind of what he's going to play like in terms of the mechanics. But it sounds like he's fairly old. Like, you've got, I didn't put on your character sheet because it's probably not going to come into play in this adventure. But I mean, you've got, Latin, Greek, and Egyptian. You can read and write each of those.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm good at using the library.
You're extremely good. Library use is one of the skills that gets used an awful lot in Call of Cthulhu. It's really the most important. So, yeah. If you were going to say, like, I'll just go through the suggestions they make in the starter set. So suggestions are things like asking around the neighborhood, looking around the property, local research in the library, talking to the police, because remember, the library has the records of old newspapers and whatnot. And at this time, newspapers are the most important and respected thing for having information. Right. So if you sit there and you can find, the old archived copies that are bound in those big old books, you can flip through those things and look and read back and rely on that as a good source of information. you can look back at the local newspaper archives as well if you can talk your way in. Yeah, so those are some of the suggestions that they offer in the adventure.
Cool.
And the guy we're looking for, Douglas Kimball?
Douglas Kimball, yeah. Sorry, I should have typed that in there as well.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Douglas Kimball. Excellent. Okay, well, I mean, like, I like the fact that I've got this sweet library use skill. Maybe I should go digging through some records to see if I can find out some stuff about this guy, see what he was into, and find a picture.
Okay. So are you guys going to split up then, or you gonna?
Yeah, what do you think?
Splitting the party for this is not as detrimental as it is for like D&D or stuff like that, unless you're actually going into a place where you really shouldn't be going.
Right.
So what do you guys think?
Well, I'm probably fine to go to the. You want to go to the library?
Well, I mean, like, not necessarily immediately. If you want, we can finish searching the property. I'll have a look through this guy's personal library. We can talk to the neighbor. I'll ask her. Whatever.
Yeah. So I think if you want to do that, I will head sort of whatever to the central part of the town. There's the newspaper. Probably worth checking in at the police station. And then, maybe we can get some leads from there.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, if this Mrs. Odell, the next door neighbor, is snooty, then I'm not going to be of any help to you.
Okay.
All
right. So, which one, or which scene do we want to do first, guys?
You can do Steve.
Okay, Steve. So, who are you going to do? You're going to have to go talk to Mrs. Odell first, or are you going to the library first?
Let's have a little chat with Mrs. Odell.
Okay. So you guys head out, and you start. Russell, you make your way towards the downtown, and it's not. I mean, it's an easy short walk to get there as well. And you make your way out, Stephen, and Professor, you get to, where her address is. So you're walking up towards her house when she's getting out of the house with these two little dogs, and she's closing the door behind her, and the dogs start, kind of yipping at you. And she turns and looks at you, and you can picture Mrs. Odell is played, in the film version of our thing by like a Driving Miss Daisy era Jessica Tandy. So she closes the door and locks it and turns around. And she's like, oh! Now, what you get to choose is to use either your appearance or your credit rating as the thing we're going to make the test for.
Nice. Very practical. I like it.
Yeah. So which one would you like to use? Appearance or credit rating? Credit rating is your, like, how wealthy you are and how much money you have to kind of, throw around. Whether you appear to be a person of means or not.
Right. And what's my appearance score?
Appearance is your appearance is a 50, and your credit rating is a 40.
Well, where's my appearance? I don't see that.
Appearance is a characteristic. It's APP.
APP. Okay. It's up here. Okay, there it is. APP is a 50, and credit rating is a 40.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping I had a higher credit rating. I was going to go that route. But,
you want to be spending, look like you got dollar bills, or
exactly right. Money. He's old fashioned, I know the type. All right.
Okay.
We'll go with appearances.
Okay, so you can see if you can charm her. So go ahead and give me an appearance check, please.
The black or the green die?
The black one, please. Whoa, nice.
Boom, shellac.
Okay, so what is the appearance that what do you have your little monocle out as well, or are you just at your best prim professorial look?
Professorial, exactly. Yes, sure. I'll have my monocle on and speak, formally.
Okay. So Mrs. Odell, finishes locking the door, and she turns around, and while the dogs are yipping at you, that she kind of looks up, and she's a little, she didn't expect to see you there, but that she doesn't seem terribly off put. I'm sorry. Can I help you?
Good afternoon, Mrs. O'Donnell, was it?
Odell, Mrs. Lila
yes.
Odell. And who were you?
Of course, I beg your pardon. My name, of course, is Wentworth at Avebury. I am a professor of linguistics from Arkham, and I have a relationship with your neighbor, but I don't know if you heard. Recently, he's let's just say he's we can't find him, and so we're trying to track him down. I was just wondering if I could ask you a couple of questions.
No.
Yeah.
Young Thomas hasn't gone missing too, has he?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
Then it's Douglas you're looking for.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, well, I haven't seen him for a year at least.
A year?
Yes.
My goodness. Do you have any idea? Is it because he wasn't living here, or did he go somewhere?
I don't know. We had someone come by to ask about this. He just up and gone. One day I saw him walking out the back of the house with that stack of books of his, and as he usually was wont to do, and now gone. Just seemed to disappear.
Interesting. And you say somebody else already dropped by and asked you about this?
Sorry?
You say somebody else was already asking you about this?
Yes.
I see. Do you know who that person was?
Sorry, I'm just trying to check the time here. I might have the... Yeah, I was here. I'm sorry, Steve. What was your question again?
And do you remember who that person was that came by to ask you about?
Some lawyer of some kind. I don't have his name, but I imagine it's in my records.
Interesting. Maybe I should speak to this lawyer. Was it long ago?
It would have been shortly after he disappeared. It was the lawyer who, and she gestures over towards the house. Thomas's lawyer, the estate lawyer.
I see.
He was curious what happened to Douglas as well.
Sure he was. Well, that's good to know. Maybe I should speak to him as well. Yeah, that would be a good idea, perhaps.
Just so you know, Steve, this is probably the estate lawyer. You guys could have asked whatever questions you want of him before.
Oh,
yeah, we can assume that we can just do that as a flashback if you want, but it's the estate lawyer knows the extent of what you guys know is that the house was sold. The house was sold because the guy went missing. The will went to the last, it was supposed to go to his brother, his elder brother. His elder brother passed on, so it went to his son instead. That's why Thomas got the house.
Right.
So are you looking? You're looking late, aren't you? Coming so long afterwards?
Yes. Well, I'm afraid that circumstances have just led us to this point. We just weren't able to get around to this business. It wasn't urgent enough until this time.
Oh. Well, I did not think anything good would come from reading in a cemetery.
Reading in a cemetery?
Yes, that's where Douglas would go and read. She gestures back. The old cemetery is behind there. And she gestures back.
Well, that's very interesting. Thank you. You do remember interesting facts, Miss O'Donnell.
Well, I'm still sharp. The dogs are still...
That's very interesting. Well, I thank you for your help. If I think of anything else, perhaps I'll come back and ask you some more questions later, if that would be all right.
Just to be sure, I'm a busy lady.
Of course.
But for you, young man, of course.
Well, thank you kindly. Yeah. Please have a nice day.
And you. Come now. And the come on, girls, and they kind of yip at you and as you go by. Okay. So that's what you got from Mrs. Odell. Where are you heading next?
I will now go to the library.
Okay. So we'll transition over to Russell. So Russell, where were you headed?
I was going to go to the newspaper.
The newspaper. Okay. So you head to the Arnoldsburg Advertiser, and it's a it's based out of one of the kind of old brick buildings that makes up the kind of the center in downtown, or the central part of downtown. It's near where the sort of center, town green is, or the town park, I suppose now. And it does not look like it's a huge operation, but I mean, there's a few people inside. When you walk in, there's maybe, the receptionist who's working there, and there may be like 2 reporters, and then there's an editor's office at the back. You can see the big gold lettering painted on the glass pane. Okay. You walk in, and a woman, kind of, the receptionist working behind the desk looks up and says, "Can I help you?"
I'm looking for Mr. Malloy.
Oh, and is Mr. Malloy expecting you?
He is not.
Oh, may I ask what this is concerning?
Just an inquiry.
An inquiry. Okay. And she gets up and heads out to the where that glassed in office is with the editor sign, and working in there is a guy who looks like he's probably in his probably like late 40s. He's got, he's still got most of a full head of hair, but it's beginning its steady retreat, in a kind of a widow's peak fashion. He's got glasses on. He's got his jacket is off, but he has a loosened tie, and he's got a vest underneath as well from his what would be a 3-piece suit, but it's open and it looks like it's a bit shabby. She kind of talks to him back and forth, and then he gets up and walks out, and he's a pretty big, fairly big guy actually. He walks out and walks over to you, and I'm Malloy. What's this concerning? Now, let's talk about what.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was going to say is we're going to make a dice roll at some point here, and I think the way that you can frame this is whether you're trying to like smooth talk this guy, which is charm, whether you're trying to convince him that he should talk to you, which is persuade, or whether you're just trying to bamboozle past him, which would be fast talk.
Right. I think I'm going to persuade him.
Persuade him, okay. So what is it you say?
Well, I'm like, I'm a private investigator. My name is Russell Anderson, and I've been engaged by the Kimball family to make some inquiries about the disappearance of Douglas Kimball. I know some time has passed, but the family has taken it upon themselves to pursue his disappearance at this point.
So he kind of looks at you. Why don't you give me a persuade check, please?
Dope.
Okay, now this gives us an opportunity to talk about pushing a roll. So in this edition of Call of Cthulhu, if you fail a roll, you can choose to push it, which is to make another check at the exact same difficulty. If you pass, it acts as if you passed the whole time. But if you fail, something really bad happens.
Right.
So right now it's a fail, so I think he's probably not going to be receptive to it. So you can choose to try and push this, or you can choose to let it stay. Or you can spend luck as well.
I was going to say, I can spend luck, but once I push it, I can't spend luck, right?
I actually don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't. Once you decide to push it, you're stuck with the
that's
with the consequences of the second die roll.
Okay.
And
you rolled a 93, so it would be a lot of luck.
It would indeed be a lot.
Steve, you got a stat called luck as well that I think I forgot to put in your character sheet. Luck is basically like your spendable resource. So your luck is where is it here? Your luck is a 60. That's not bad. However, you sometimes have to make luck checks. So like you can spend the resource, but it often means that you will be more unlucky when you have to make a luck check. So like, for instance, if I say that some horrible extraterrestrial beastie is going to chomp on someone's skull, I'll make everyone make luck checks, and whoever fails the worst, they're the ones who gets their skull munched on.
It's a stat and a consumable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So what are you thinking?
Like I'm gonna push my luck with this. I'm gonna like push the roll with this.
Here we go. Okay.
Do it.
Yes. Nice.
Oh, of course.
Okay. So he kind of looks at you, and for a moment he looks like he's going to crack, and he looks you up and down. All right. You want to gain access to our I'll give you access to the files. We you can hear you can see, come back. He brings you back to sort of the records room, and he goes rooting around for some stuff and pulls out this kind of manila folder and boom, 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 puts on a couple things. He's like, I think all we've got was stuff you'd find in there.
So in the process of us like walking back, I'm going to casually converse with them and say, were you an acquaintance of Mr. Kimball's? Like, did you know him at all?
Kimball? No, I knew his, I knew that he lived in town, but he mostly kept to himself. He was, I mean, from what I understand, he kept a collection that would be the envy of our library.
So it would appear. I mean, I briefly had saw his library, and it was extensive.
Well, it's a shame the son hasn't, or the nephew has elected to not donate those, but I suppose if you don't know the value, then it's really none of my business. Well, here we are.
Okay. So I will examine the folder that he...
Okay. So why don't you give me a library use check, please? Let's see how you're doing there. Success will be... Oh, good. Okay. So after 3 hours of searching, here's what you kind of uncover. You can picture you're paging through all this stuff. You're looking through the handwritten notes of the different the journalists who looked into this stuff. Excuse me. There's actually something that is a never published statement concerning the cemetery.
Okay.
And I mean, it's news to you. Apparently, there is just behind. There's that empty lot behind the house, and then there's this really old cemetery. You know, that dates back to the town's founding. There's a statement from someone named Hilda Ward. I'll type that in the chat as well.
Okay.
So Hilda Ward is an insomniac neighbor, now age 64.
Okay.
Who claimed, I mean, thank God for the insomniac neighbors in Cthulhu Adventures, eh?
Indeed.
So she claimed that for over 20 years, she had seen, and there's a quotations here, devil spawn, end quotation, stalking around the burial ground. Though human in outline, she claimed that they had canine features, hoofed feet, and that they were covered in mold. The journalist who interviewed Mrs. Ward noted that Mrs. Ward has since moved to Detroit, and none of the other neighbors have ever seen or will admit to have seen the devil spawn.
Okay.
That's the extent of what...
and the devil spawn in her account is in and around the cemetery?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cemetery. Well, I think I know what's happened. I don't think my character knows what's happened.
This is the downside with
because I don't know that I'm a believer yet.
Okay,
but yeah, I have a pretty good idea what's going
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, Steve, you said you were heading to the library next, right?
Yeah.
It's about 7 o'clock is when you finish up looking through all those everything that's available there, Russell. So then you're heading back for a late dinner, I suppose. All right. So you... Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So you reach the library, and the library is actually, it's a freestanding red brick building. It's one of these things where it feels very, very cramped because of the years and years and years of accumulation of books. And then there's a records room on the second floor that has all the different newspaper. What do you call it? The newspaper stuff. Would you kindly give me a library use roll?
Oh, heck yeah. I was hoping you'd ask.
Here it comes. Big money. Nice. Ooh. All right. So you get in there, and after talking to the friendly librarian who's in there, you make your way up to what you're directed to is to the archives of the Arnoldsburg Advertiser, and you start paging through this stuff, trying to find anything that sort of jumps out at you as something of something peculiar. And what you find is over the course of 1 second here. I don't remember how long it takes you to do library use, because I know it's a set number of hours. Let's just say 3 hours for the purpose of right now. Probably the same amount of time as the last. So I've 3 hours of paging through all these newspapers, taking old edition after old edition. You find an article. It's dated in 1911. And what the article says is it concerns the alleged sighting of a band of people apparently unclothed cavorting in the cemetery next to the Kimball house. The constable was summoned and the cemetery was searched, but no sign of the strangers was ever found, though mishapen footprints gave mute evidence of their presence.
We came to the right town, Russell.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to Call of Cthulhu. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what are you guys going to do? You guys are both, I imagine, are sort of meeting up at around the same time, too. So you've come back and you guys can have... Elaine has prepared a dinner for everybody. So you guys can have dinner with Thomas and Lainey. And if there's anything you want to ask them, you can do that. Otherwise, you assume that dinner passes, with polite conversation. Sure. Is there anything you guys want to do in the evening?
Well, I think afterwards, there's probably like a parlor or something where the two of us can sit and discuss the information we've gathered.
Yep. You guys can even set like the front porch.
Sure,
is quite lovely. Sure. As you guys get home too, when you're coming back to Russell, you can see Mrs. Odell is sort of at the window and just glaring the angriest little glare that her Jessica Tandy face can do of like. She does not approve of how you look.
So,
no, neither do I.
So we, what I learned at the newspaper was a neighbor who has since moved away saw activity in what apparently the lot beyond the lot that Thomas Kimball told us about is a graveyard that I'm suspecting that his uncle was not in the empty lot, but in the space beyond. And
very good.
What was termed as devil spawn. So activity, some sort of nefarious activity in the graveyard.
I've been hearing a lot about this graveyard. I'm thinking there's something going on in the graveyard.
I would concur.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if I were to hazard a guess, I think that our lost person disappeared to the graveyard. And I don't think it's a huge jump of logic that perhaps he is the one who returned to find specific books in his previous residence. If this is it, I think that it's not some random robbery.
You've been doing some thinking, Russell.
I have. Like I said, this is dangerous because as Call of Cthulhu, I know the jumps of logic to take. But I don't know that my character, is quite prepared for what we're going to find in the graveyard.
That's what I thought was going to be interesting about it, because, like, is it worse not knowing what is likely there, or is it worse knowing what's likely there and having to go?
Yeah. No, I think exactly right. Like, inevitably, I know what we're going to find in the graveyard. I don't think my character is prepared to run into what we're going to find in the graveyard.
Nice.
So I think we might be well served to attend the graveyard after dark.
Ooh. Feeling adventurous, are we, Russell?
Well, no, but I think that if what I believe to be the case, that perhaps it is a secret society. Perhaps there are, we may not be aware of it yet, but perhaps there are many of them that have taken to, this group that is cavorting in the graveyard.
Right. From like a chapter from like another city or something.
Yeah.
They were.
So I think we would be well served to cautiously investigate the graveyard after dark.
Excellent. Okay, I concur.
Okay. So, do you have torches with you, or I imagine that like flashlights?
Right.
I imagine that someone, if you like, what's his name, Thomas, will likely have one you could borrow.
Right, or a lantern, or whatever. Right?
Yeah. Actually, a lantern is probably more likely.
I guess the question is the graveyard on a street? Like, would there be street lamps?
No, they're judging from what you've seen here. It's an empty lot behind this, and then behind that seems to be the old cemetery.
Now, we're not going to discover. Maybe it's dark enough now, but like, what time of the month is it?
We said summer, so you probably got quite a few hours of.
But I'm wondering, like, is it full moon? Is it new moon? Is it like how much of the moon is out? Because that'll determine how much illumination we require.
I think it's probably
somewhere in the middle.
There's probably in the middle. Yeah. There's probably like scattered clouds. There, this is Call of Cthulhu, so there's going to be bright light up to the point where I need it to be a cloud going over the moon, and then it's going to happen.
Of course.
But yeah, no, you can imagine that there's decent. It's not like a bright full moon. Maybe like a waxing moon.
Sure.
So
is there sufficient enough light for us?
Yeah, you would want. So we'll say that you guys, you walk around. You guys are talking about this. So you walk around back to see, where, because she talks. What Mrs. Odell had said was that he walked out back. So you walk out back, and what you can see from the house is, in the darkness, there's this path that leads basically directly away from the back of this house, and then out to this old fence. And part of the fencing has collapsed. And it seems that the path goes through there and then into this really heavily wooded, empty lot. Okay. And from what you understand is, once you get through that lot to the far side of that, that's where the cemetery is. So even though the light is okay, I imagine what you're going to want is some kind of lantern or flashlight or something to illuminate through that place, because it's a completely unmanaged lot. So there's big, heavy, trees and overgrowth. So it's pitch black in there.
Sure. Well, we'll inquire with Mr. Kimball if he has such a device.
Yep. Yeah, he probably does. Yeah, he's got a. No, I think his. I think it probably is a lantern, just because it's a small town and it's been an older guy who's been living out here. So if he's been out here for 30 years or whatever,
things like batteries might be on. Like
yeah.
So I don't know that flashlights are a thing of that time, but
there's actually I can't remember what story it is, but there's one story where Lovecraft talks about how he decided not to, the narrator didn't use the new electric lights because of the quality of light that the old wick lamps would give.
Right.
So, you I don't think they've got brand new, unless you brought it from. I think that your character.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I didn't have it down, and it's probably. A lantern is probably reasonable.
I'm fine with you. What I'm saying is that, I'm fine with you saying that that's if your character, you would have had the forethought to shop around. But if you think that your guy would have just gone by the seat of his pants and I got my pistol, what else do I need?
Yeah. No, that's. Oh yeah. Well, okay. Well, I take it back. Apparently, the flashlight was invented in 1899.
Yeah. It's just different kinds of lights. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, let's say that you've got a flashlight, and then there's also a lamp, like an oil lamp that you can carry there, Professor. So if you guys want to brave the darkness.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we'll use the lantern unless we're required, at some point to bust out the flashlight.
Okay.
I think we make paper mache tombstones and we go and hide as tombstones in the cemetery.
What was that? I heard a plan about paper. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said we make paper mache tombstones and then hide as tombstones in the cemetery.
It's an excellent idea. Oh man. Okay, so let's boom, because this seems more appropriate for where you guys are going now. So you guys head out, and we'll say it's actually dark by this point. Well, are you intentionally waiting for dark, or are you going to go out with whatever light's available? I imagine you could do either.
I'd say we'll go out probably after 10, where it is mostly dark, but not.
Yeah. Okay. So you head out and you walk up towards the empty lot, and the empty lot is completely black. Even because this is out in effectively, it's not the country, but it's a village, so I guess, or town, so I guess it is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But there are these very wild pockets, particularly at night, that cast you into the same kind of primordial darkness that the tribes that are that occupied these lands for centuries would live under the wild and primal nature. And you can see, basically, it feels like stepping from the threshold of the lights of civilization back at the house that sits there on its own, shrouded or flanked on each side by trees, and walk through the past the fallen fencing into a lot that is apart from the path that you can hear under your feet, that is seems to have been untouched by the hands of Europeans. 1 second here. I want to put just a quick. There we go, because I know I've got some great. Oh, where are you? Unfortunately, again, for the folks listening at home, you're not going to benefit from the ambient sounds, but I think the looks on the players' faces will hopefully pay up for some of that stuff. Now, where is my sound for Great Cthulhu? No, I'm kidding. Oh, perfect.
That would be, I would say, Great Escalation.
There we go, guys. So you can hear the sound of the wind going through the trees as you step away. You can hear the crunch of the gravel underneath your feet, and you can see that there is a small pathway that is stepped through here. The pathway, and this is a very well-trodden pathway. Like, this is where it's down to the earth, where you would guess someone has trod this for many, many, many years. And the pathway seems to wind around the wildest part of the forest, or this lot, this forested lot. On your left, you're passing this, and it's that deeping darkness that comes only from when not only is there limited sight or limited illumination, there's also just this thick, wild canopy of overgrowth as well. If you're sparing a look to the side, you all you can see is this hints of movement as the foliage kind of moves very gently back and forth, rustling up against each other, the trees and leaves rustling against each other, the slow creaking of the ancient limbs to your left. And you feel like yourself walking to the very far right edge of this path. To your right, it stretches out quite some distance, probably about 50 or 60 feet of wild, overgrown grass and weeds. And then again, it starts up with the thick canopy of wild trees. And ahead of you, there is not another wooden fence, but you can see there is a tumbled down old stone wall that effectively serves as a barrier leading in to what is the graveyard. Now, would both of you guys kindly give me luck checks? So the black ones, not the contested. So luck will be on the left. It's a separate. Yeah, you found it? Okay. Great. Okay, tough. 29. Nice. Okay. So then, make a check here, guys. Where's my dice? Because you know what adds to the everyone loves hearing on top of the wind is the sound of suspicious dice rolls by your friendly neighborhood DM. Okay, so as you guys make your way into the cemetery, would you kindly each give me a spot hidden, and then we'll talk about what you find there. Spot hidden is a skill. Wow. It's good. I actually should have given you a penalty dice on this as well because of the ambient illumination. So, oh, shit. That's great. All right. But thankfully, you brought your eagle-eyed companion. So you guys make your way into the graveyard. And
we're gonna pull the hood down over the lantern, like close the thing, so it just is not. It's not like that where that light is just like blinding us as we.
Sure, you're having a focus in. Right? Sure, exactly. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So as you walk in, what you find is the graveyard is empty. But
so far
there are wrong thing here. Yeah, so far, exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
But it does appear to be so. What it seems to you is, in particular, in contrast to that wild, overgrown lot, the cemetery is reasonably well tended, although the vegetation is quite abundant, with lots of tall bushes and ancient trees dotting the spaces between the gravestones and tombs. It's clear that the cemetery has been here for many years. You would guess that someone has been tending this place. This is not a graveyard or a cemetery that is just left kind of on its own, the way some ignored old cemeteries are.
I wouldn't imagine that there's too many cemeteries in a town this size, right? So do we see any recent, like, not, how like it within like 6 months or something, the grass hasn't started to grow, there's still mounds and stuff like that. Like, has there been recent burials in this graveyard?
You sort of make your way around, and there doesn't appear to be. I mean, from the way you yeah, you guys didn't do super great on the spot hidden. It doesn't appear that there's any, obviously recent burials or at least any tombs or any graves that have been recently disturbed.
Okay.
Okay. So you make your way around.
Is there a shed or something for the gravesman?
Let's see here. There is not. One second here. Is there a? Let me check here. Would you guys each kindly give me
That sounds
a
good.
listen check? Whoa. 98.
Oh, so I can hear.
Okay, that fits. Okay, so you guys are looking around, and I think Russell, you say like there must be a gravekeepers or whatever groundsman's shed around here somewhere, and you're sort of off walking. And Russell, you sort of are still stopped, looking. Not Russell, Professor. You are still looking up and down the graves, trying to see if there's anything that's been exhumed recently or whatnot. And that's when you hear. One sec. Oh man. Oh man.
Oh, man.
The nice thing about Call of Cthulhu is sometimes you really don't want to succeed in your skill tests.
Indeed.
All right. Oh, wrong thing here. 1 second. Let's see if I can find. I will describe it for the benefit of the folks at home in a moment as well, but I'm going to see if I can find the sound I'm looking for, because it does have some pretty great sound effects in here. Yeah, raise dead spells, not what I'm looking for. Or is it? What is this? Yeah. All right. So what you hear, Steve, and you can picture this you got the lantern in your hand. You're walking among the tombstones. Russell is walking his way up, maybe about 10 yards away from you. His lantern or his torch. I keep saying torch. I'm not fucking British. Flashlight. Looking around. This is only a pompous asshole using British slang. So you're moving your flashlight around, or he's looking up ahead of you, and that's when you hear off about somewhere within with 50 yards of you, you hear the sound of the grinding of metal on stone. You're gonna stop. Or like some ancient oiled hinges. You turn in. What do you do?
Shit. It's just my pants. I think that we're together, right?
Russell's about 10 yards away from you. Whatever the sound is somewhere off in the darkness, near one of the standing mausoleums. Because there's several prominent families paid for mausoleums here as well, too. I couldn't hear you. So I thought you were muted. I'm like, what's he doing? Okay, so you're trying to keep it down? Give me a stealth check, Steve. Let's see how successful at keeping your nerve. Fumble. Oh man, that's awesome.
I got a bonus on that. Surely I got a bonus on that.
I'm not sure why you would have.
Because professors are very stealthy.
So you're, yeah, really. So you I think what happens is okay, hold on. Now you can choose to push it. Right now you got a fumble, which is something bad. You can choose to push it, and if you fail, then something really bad happens.
Oh well, how can I say no to that?
Awesome.
Okay. So what do I roll?
Just click on it's stealth just again. Let's see how you do.
Okay, double or nothing. That's what this is. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Rolling.
Okay, so you succeed. So you got Russell.
I turn around and I look at him.
So the flashlight is turned towards you. Your face is illuminated, and you can see there's a look of. You correct me if I'm wrong here, Steve. There's a look of extreme fucking concern on his face.
Right.
So what do you say?
Noise.
Okay, well, I click the flashlight off,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I found a picture of my flashlight.
Oh, nice. I can't click on it. Hold on. Open a new tab. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. That's awesome. Oh, that's so good.
So it's got like a little Bakelite thing on the top, so I click it and the light turns off.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fucking terrific. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so you turn it off. Okay, so do you
I
make
mean,
your way
I didn't hear anything. I'm assuming the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you were focused on trying to find that. You were limping your way over to try and find the shed.
I watch my footing, but I move towards Wentworth, and I'm like, what is it?
So yeah, I think you make your way over there without incident. Oh, you might want to lean closer to your mic, Steve, so I can't hear you.
It was the gate was creaking behind us. There was
Okay.
It was something.
Well, so we'll cover up the lantern completely.
Okay.
And then we'll just listen again for.
Why don't you each give me a listen check, please? This is, however, I need you guys to make contested listen checks.
Okay. So we use the green die.
Green die, please. Yeah. Ooh, success from Russell. And a hard success. Okay. So what that means is you're straining to listen, Russell. And all you can hear is the sound. You're in pitch blackness, so your eyes are wide. Your eyes, still in that time of trying to adjust from the little bit of light to the strained illumination you can see right now. And you're looking out across your ears are straining. You can hear the sound of the creaking, the ancient trees that have grown in this graveyard, the rustling of the thick bushes that are on there, and your eyes are scanning the tombstones, the mausoleums, to see any kind of trace of movement, but you're not seeing anything. But Professor, your ears are strained, and that's when you hear it. Something's walking. Footprints. Something's walking on gravel towards your direction. What do you do?
You hear it? You hear it, Russell? The footsteps. They're coming this way.
You know what, Steve? Let's see here. Give me oh, we didn't record your. Sorry, I didn't record your sanity on there. Let's see here. Your sanity is a 60.
Is it our power, right?
Yeah. Okay, I think Steve, why don't you give me a sanity check, please? Where's my DM screen? Keeper's screen.
All right. Where is there's sanity? All right. And
nice. Okay. So you can picture your heart is fucking pounding in your chest. You can feel the blood flushed, in your face. This thing, it's not running or anything like that, but it's, and your wild eyes are looking off in the darkness, and you can't see anything. Russell seems to be completely unfazed by this. And what are you going to do?
I told you we should have been tombstones.
Okay, well, I reach into my suit, pull out my pistol.
Okay. Nice.
Click.
Excuse me. Okay, now would you each kindly give me a spot hidden contested?
Spot hidden contested.
Yeah, and there is going to be one penalty die on this. Oh, I guess.
Boom.
Okay, so what I need you guys to do is roll one more time because there is a penalty dice. So we take the worst of the two tens digits. Boom. 90. Okay. Now, of course, you guys can choose to push those rolls if you like. But again, if you fail on a set,
how bad could it really be? I mean, we don't see it, or we really don't see it. Sure, I'll go ahead and push it.
Okay. Okay.
I guess there's no point in me pushing it. All right. Wait. So you have to take the worst of the two rolls.
Of the two rolls, yeah. So you would roll twice again.
Roll twice again.
Yeah, and then take the worst of the two rolls. That's what you do with the push.
Oh my gosh. That I don't like the odds of that very much. I'm afraid.
No, well, it's the thing is that's what comes with the penalty. You guys are you've turned off all your lights in the middle of a darkened cemetery. So
whatever this is now behind us. We're like, oh, I thought it was over there.
You know what I'm gonna do? Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. So what's gonna happen?
No, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Steve, you can choose to push or not, or just take your failure.
Well, I mean, it can get worse, actually, can't it?
No, I mean, yeah, it can. If you push and fail, then it does get worse.
Right. Which of course you just did, Russell. Okay. So, well, I don't want to make it twice as worse. Okay.
Let's leave it as is. Okay. So yeah, you're so you can picture you're sitting there and you're looking off. You've got your pistol out, Russell, and that's when so what you first see is something shambles out of the shadows, and this thing kind of moves like this, and it is so much fucking closer than you expected. Like you were looking and studying it like maybe 20 yards away, and this thing suddenly is 5 yards away from you. And what I need you guys to do is to give me a sanity check. And unfortunately, because of your failed spot hidden, you're going to have a penalty dice on this, Craig.
Okay.
Go crazy. You're a sanity. Just
Russell.
Oh, regular. Boom.
Extreme success. Nice. So what shambles out appears, well, first off, let's see. I'll roll. Greg, give me a D6 roll, please.
Sure.
2. Awesome. Okay. So you lose 2 sanity.
Okay.
As what, now I can't remember what happens. Is there anything that happens with any sanity loss, or is it only when it's a substantial amount?
I think it has to be more than 6.
Let's see here. Sanity loss will be on the DM screen, I imagine, or keeper's screen.
Whenever encounter, roll sanity loss. If an investigator loses 5 or more sanity points as a consequence of a single check, he or she has suffered a major emotional trauma.
Okay, yeah, so that's not, not here. Okay, so what happens?
You get to control my next action, though. When you fail a sanity check, the keeper gets to momentarily control your next action as fear takes hold of you, perhaps unwittingly scream or squeeze the trigger of your pistol.
Oh, I think we all know what's going to happen now. Okay, so Steve, but what you guys both see is this seems to be roughly in the crude shape of a man. And it's got this kind of hunched posture over, and it does not smell fucking nice at all. The waft of the odor of this hits you suddenly like a wave of, like throwing open an icebox and finding it, with the smell of rotten meat inside. This stink hits you, but even worse, its arms seem to lurch forward and hang in almost a simian manner. And you can hear the horrible kind of clap as of its feet. And you can both, I think, Russell, you see this more clearly than the other. But rather than toes and a human foot at the end, it ends in these horrible cloven hooves, as if it's some form of, horrible hybrid of beast and man. And this thing looks towards you, and for a split second, the reflection of the moonlight hits its eyes, and you feel, Russell, as if it's heading straight towards you. Okay. And in a blind panic, you squeeze, you unwisely put your finger right on the trigger, and bam! A shot rings out in the night.
Okay.
Now, I have no idea how initiative works in Call of Cthulhu, so let's take a look at the.
I think it's Dex, isn't it?
It's just order of Dex.
I think it is combat. Well, so it's like ranged over melee, and when a combat occurs, you act in order of Dex, with the highest Dex moves first.
Okay. Okay, so then what is your dexterities, guys? I know yours is...
Mine's bad.
30. What's your dexterity there, Steve-O?
It is a 14.
A 14, okay.
No, a 14.
42.
14.
40.
40, correct.
Okay. So then why don't we do this? You give me a dexterity check, or a contested one, please. I think you're probably going first. Nope. Okay. So what happens is, so this thing first, it cries out in a sound that sounds like a ragged equivalent or attempt at a man's voice. That cries out in alarm, and it turns and goes clabbering off into the darkness, back from whence it came. Steve, you're up next. What do you want to do? You've been seeking proof of the unknown for so long, and this just seems so wrong and unnatural.
Oh yes, no, taking it back. Contemplating running randomly in some direction, but just basically being frozen stiff, and now then looking agape at Russell, who has just fired his gun, and just for one split second lit up the entire cemetery with a flash of brilliant white, and left a ghost of all the silhouettes of the trees in my eyes. And it was just blinding me and just completely. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So then we go to Russell. You catch your breath. What are you going to do?
I'm struggling with the reality of what I've seen.
Yeah.
But
do you accept
as a military veteran, I'm going to be a little bit cooler under fire.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do like an observation
Okay.
of this like I guess I'm doing a double take of this creature.
Okay. Now it's run off into the darkness, and you've got your there's
Oh,
no
so
light.
it took, when I fired, it ran away.
Yeah, like as soon as you shot, it turned and bolted back the direction it came in, back into the shadows, like into the sort of collection of mausoleums.
Gotcha. Okay. So then, well, I guess we're gonna move after it.
Yeah, and you can hear you can hear the footsteps of it moving along. Okay.
I'll engage my lantern.
Nice. Okay, so your lantern is up. I think that's a free thing to do. I'm fine with that. Okay. So then what there actually are some interesting chase rules in this edition that they don't incorporate into here, but let's just quickly I'm going to improvise them. Okay, so this thing it gets its move distance away from you. It's actually not all that quick. Okay. It might be more difficult to improvise. This is incredibly complicated. It looks interesting, but it looks like it's pretty complicated. Moving 2 or 3 locations costs 1 movement action. Hold on, where's my Keeper's Handbook? There we go. Okay, so this is on page 132 of the Keeper's Handbook. For those listening at home as well, too, this is our first time playing Call of Cthulhu in a number of years. So, and I haven't actually run the 7th edition yet. We're going beyond the starter set now. Okay. Okay, so you guys are faster, which means they only have you have 2 movement actions, and this thing only has 1. On your turn in dexterity order, each of the characters may use your turn to move forward in the chase, to initiate 1 attack, or perform some other action.
Okay.
Okay, and
Steve will get
keeping track of the chase. Okay, so I just have I keep track of basically like abstracted areas here. So let's say I'm going to say he's 2 locations away from you right now.
Okay.
So let's just do this here. I'll.
So we would catch him in 2 turns, in theory, right? So we would move, he would move, we would move, we gain an advantage.
However, you do get to make a. Let's see here. There is something called hazards. So if you want to, you have to make hazard rolls, and this is running through a, the darkness. So what you do is you make. Let's see here.
We do have our lantern.
You do have your lights on, yeah. So I'm not going to give you any penalty dice right away, but it's still just a. It's full of potentially unseen hazards here. So the skills will be. I think it's just going to be dodge. And then the hazards will be. So here's the way that works, guys, for the hazards is you can choose to, if you take a cautious approach, your movement, you can reduce your movement to 1 to gain a bonus dice on this roll. If you don't, and I decide how difficult this is. I think I'm going to say it's not. I'm not going to apply any difficulties. You're not running through open graves or any shit like that. It's just around, winding your way around mausoleums and across small, areas of graves. Although there probably are some low tombstones as well. If you spend 1 movement action. You can you get a bonus dice on it. Otherwise, you can just make a flat dodge check. If you fail the check, then you take damage. It won't be an awful lot. It'll just reflect you sort of like tripping and falling and slamming into something. And then is that it? Is that all we need to know? Yeah, and then you can also... You can also choose to, I think, just run like full pell-mell and take a penalty dice on it. And then you can get 1 extra movement out of it. So first up is this thing. Let's. I'm going to take a penalty dice because this thing wants to get the fuck away from you. All right. So this thing goes racing off, and you hear the sound of something cry out, and the sound of something hitting gravel heavy, as if something has fallen.
Okay.
So then it is. Yes. Now we'll go to. Oh, sorry. You know what? I'm skipping ahead here. That's what would have happened during its turn. Then Professor was sort of shocked and whatnot and didn't move. Now you've gone. So Russell, do you want to move 2? And just take a dodge check at your normal check, or do you want to move only 1 and get a bonus dice in your dodge check? So basically, you can catch it in 1 round without the bonus dice, or you can take the bonus dice and then have to spend 1 more round going. What do you think?
Right.
For Russell.
Oh, for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So no, I will move as quickly as I can to catch up to it. I'll only make 1 roll.
Okay.
I mean, my dodge is terrible, but I can always blow luck here. So.
Yeah. Oh, there's something else I fucked up. So we can actually, you set your move rating. So you can make a move check right at the start, at the outset of it.
Yeah.
Everyone makes a con roll to test their physical condition and endurance.
Okay.
And then that adjusts your movement rating. So why don't we do that first? Because your con is pretty fucking good, right?
Okay.
Because you actually might not need to. Go ahead. Oh, nice. Okay, so no, it's you need extreme success to get a +1 to move. So yeah, so you're moving 2. Go ahead and give me a dodge check. Did you say that you were going to go at a like full on, or are you going?
Full on. Yeah, I'll go full on.
Fuck yeah, give me a dodge check, please. You want to push it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll push it.
We got a 15 though. So.
Let's see how much. Yeah. I don't think it really matters at this point.
Here's what the push will do is that it'll bump the damage up. Instead of like tripping over some small thing and twisting your ankle.
I'll just do more damage, yeah. To myself, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I face plant into the ground.
All right. So let's see here. You misjudge a turn, and there's a like a low hanging what do you call it? There's a low slung kind of tombstone that's something set right into the ground, and you slam your fucking foot your bad foot too, right into it. You take 4 points of damage as you tumble to the ground. But what you can see though is that there is a figure. That darkened figure is also on the ground in front of you.
Okay.
So it's you unfortunately have fallen, but you guys seem to have both fallen in roughly the same area. Okay, so then it is back to its turn. It scrambles to its feet, and that's sort of all it does. Russell, you've been left alone Professor, you've been left alone in the dark as your colleague has gone running off after this thing. What are you doing?
Well, I collect myself and I suppose like with nothing better to do, and also because like I realize I'm just surrounded by like piercing darkness and silence, and I'm like, okay, that's why I run after Russell.
Okay, nice. Now you can choose to move one movement and get a bonus dice on your dodge check, or you can choose to just roll your dodge normally and you'll move 2 and catch up to them.
Let's roll dodge normally.
Nice. Go big or go home.
Exactly. Dodge. So that's the black one, right?
Yes.
Rock and roll.
One thing.
Boom shot.
Oh! Now, do you want to push it? If you push it, it just means you'll take more damage.
Yeah.
Nice. Your dodge isn't that bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna pass.
Oh. Okay. So basically, you come running around the corner and slam into your colleague. You take 5 points of damage, though. Holy shit! You will note you do not have an awful lot of hit points in this game.
Where is my hit point?
Hit points will be on the top left, I believe.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So both of you guys are down. I think you've wrenched your arm quite badly. And yeah, unfortunately, you don't take any extra damage there, Russell. Okay, but Russell, it's your turn now. So the professor has come tumbling over you as well, too. What are you doing?
Okay, so now that we have the light and can we see this creature, it's clearly not human, right?
It's clearly not. It's wearing clothes. And it looks like I've seen. So, I mean, if it is a human, there's something horribly fucking wrong with it.
Okay.
I mean, no, its face even looks like it looks inhuman. Its face seems deformed. Its arms seem too long. Its shoulders are just placed in the wrong place. Its silhouette just looks like it weighs on your mind just how raw this thing is.
So I'll get to my feet.
Okay.
And I'll have my pistol, but I'm not pointing it at the creature.
Okay.
And I say, Douglas.
Okay.
And I wait to see its response.
Okay. Let's see here. Its head snaps to the side.
Okay.
But then it turns back.
Okay. So I lower my gun. It like turns like it recognizes it.
Yeah, like it sees you. Why don't you give me a charm check, please?
Okay.
Well, hold on. Actually, you know what?
Okay.
I will let you choose what you want to use. If you've got, it sounded to me like you were just trying to
persuade it.
Yeah. So, is it persuade? I don't know if it just by saying one word you could persuade necessarily.
Okay.
You could either be saying it like Douglas, like I want to help you, or you could be like Douglas, like stop fucking moving, which would be intimidate.
No, I'm trying to like
to charm.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a check.
Okay. Charm.
Was that your charm? The fumble?
Well, the first one was. But then you told me to make another choice.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that. Yeah. I wanted to.
I will use 15 points of luck to make it a success.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So yeah, this thing stops and it kind of looks at you, and I guess it's up next. So, you know my name.
Okay, well, I'll lower my weapon.
Okay.
As a sign of good faith. And then I will like cautiously advance towards it. Like, just sort of like moving to the next sort of gravestone. And I'm like, what has happened to you, Douglas? I'll try to be empathetic, I guess, right? Like, you know, like in my mind, something terrible has happened to him. Right?
Okay.
So I'm like, what has happened to you, Douglas?
Happened. I've left behind the unnecessary things.
Do you
Why?
wish not to be found?
He kind of studies you, and again, all you're really seeing because of the darkness and whatnot is just this gleam of his eyes.
Right.
Who sent you?
Your nephew.
Why do you know my name?
Your nephew.
My nephew.
Thomas.
Bruce's boy. He's the one in my house.
He puts his head down as if he's thinking.
Was it you that came to get books out of the library?
My books. Yes. I want my books.
Do you want all of them?
I want all of them. My books are my solace. And now, amongst the graves, I have all the time I want for me and my books. Thomas cannot know what has become of me. He and others will come looking. And if they look, nothing good will come of it.
Would you guys both make a spot hidden roll for me, please?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So once again, Russell, Professor, you're just trying to drink in, like, what the hell has happened? And with that, there are, as soon as he says nothing good will come of it, Zach here. There are about 6 or 7 figures that are lurking at the edge of this kind of area where you're talking. Some sort of skulking amongst the gravestones, some sort of moving along the sides of mausoleums. But with that kind of role, Professor, you can see every single one of them. You realize that there is a fucking host of something that is moving in the shadows near you. They're not running in, but they seem to be slowly kind of moving into position. You don't see it. You're focused just solely on what's become of Douglas Kimball. So, but he carries on.
I want my books. That's all I've ever wanted.
I have a way of getting your books.
You can get them.
So I'm going to take out a piece of parchment, right? And I guess probably at that point you'd have like a what you call it's not a pen, but yeah.
I think so. Ballpoint pens, I think, are actually a lot older than we.
Well, I'm just thinking, I'm a
realize.
more classical guy. I'm going to have like an ink tip pen type thing.
Yeah.
Right. But so I take out a piece of paper and I put it on the gravestone and I just write out something.
Sure.
And then I go forward and I hand it to him. And on it says, right, I donate all my books
Okay.
to the Douglas Kimball whatever book society or something, right? If you sign this, Douglas, I will give it to Thomas, and we will get your books out of the house, someplace safe that you could access them.
I have a place. A place. Leave them in the yard. Leave them in the yard and we will collect them.
And that's when it kind of dawns on you. Give me another spot hidden check. This time you'll have 1 bonus dice on it.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, no, you already know that they're there. So now, Russell, you're aware. Like, oh my god, like there's lots of something that's moving around, and you can hear they're all kind of. So he looks.
Can I trust you?
Well, I look around. I think this could have been a worse outcome. We require each other to make this work.
He kind of lurches forward. It smells even worse with every step that he takes towards you, to the point that you're almost, heaving. You're wishing that you hadn't had second helpings of Laney's meal. But it gets up and it studies this, and he kind of keeps like snuffling the way that a wheezing or like a bulldog or something. He reaches his hand out, and you can see his hand is distorted, and like there's fur that's grown on part of the top of his palms.
The pen.
Okay, well, I hand him the pen.
He scrawls out, and like it's a rough approximation of a signature, but his hand seems so it's on its that he's struggled to reach it.
Okay,
leave them in the yard tomorrow evening.
Okay, well, I take the paper back. He can keep the pen. And
bring me my books.
I suggest to the professor that perhaps now's the time for us to make a cautious retreat.
Excellent idea, old chap.
Okay.
So you guys cautiously. I could have made you make another sanity check for the bigger group, but I did not.
I know.
So you guys slowly make your way back, and as fast or as suddenly as these things seem to be there, they fade.
Okay.
And you see him, and it leaves only him, and he basically stands in there looking at you and just standing in that hunched kind of way until he's out of sight. And I think that you probably can't help but quicken your step as soon as you start making your way through, and you're just it's out of the graveyard. You keep a wide berth from those heavy overgrown trees, and you find by the time you're reaching across the yard running towards that house, it's almost a sprint.
Sure.
And you guys make your way to the back. Now, what are you guys going to do then?
Okay. Well, are the lights still on in the house?
Oh yeah. Like you've only probably been gone at most an hour.
Okay.
It's probably, you can see the lights of the bedroom are on upstairs. They've otherwise probably gone upstairs. They've retired for the evening.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll use the key because the door will be locked, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I'll kind of investigate around. If all the lights are out, then I'll go up and knock on the bedroom door.
Okay. Yeah. Who is it? You hear from inside.
It's Russell. Do you have a moment?
Yes. I'll meet you in the parlor.
Okay. So we go down in the parlor, and I'll turn on the electric lights.
I think at the time, by the time you get down, Professor, am I correct in that you hand him a very stiff drink?
Are we not in Prohibition?
Oh,
Yeah.
you are in prohibition. Of course you are. Yeah. Jesus. So yeah, you get down and you're wishing that the whatever it was, it's not, is the Volstead Act, is that the one that the Volstead Act was not in place, but you make your way down and Thomas comes down with the robe around. His eyes are sort of, his hair's a little disheveled, but what's happened at this hour?
Well, we have good news and bad news, but we have discovered your uncle.
You have.
He does not. He has chosen to live a solitary life.
He's chosen to live
a solitary life.
Where?
Well, he has taken up residence on the far side of town.
In town? He has. Okay. Give me a persuade check. Let's see just how. Sure. I think this guy just wants this thing. I can see a reasonable chance of success of this, just because there is a degree of So he far side of town. What?
I think that would probably be best. That we leave it at that. Your uncle's wishes were very precise in that he did not wish to be disturbed. He is quite content to let you, take possession of his house, but he wishes to have his books. It was him that came into the library to recover some of his books.
And you can see he's just processing this, trying to figure out.
And then I hand him over the letter.
Okay.
So he wishes to, make a donation. He wants to, he would like his books to be donated to a society. So we've made arrangements for them to be collected, if that is acceptable to you.
You know what? You're even with a penalty dice, you're still going to succeed in that. So I think he looks at it, and he probably doesn't know his uncle's signature well enough. So he just. Is he happy?
Content. He seems like a solitary man, and I understand that, right? He wishes to live a simple life, and I think we cannot deny that to someone.
No, well, if he's given me so much that if that's what his wishes are, then I'm happy to abide by them.
Okay.
If you could make whatever arrangements that he has requested
to
deal with the books, then I'll leave it to you and the professor.
Basically, the next day we will just, pile up the books that we can and leave them on the far side of the gate.
Yep.
And cover them in a tarp or a blanket or something like that.
Okay.
And
so what do you guys do that evening?
Oh, I think
definitely find some bootleg liquor.
Yeah. If I had
there's actually, it's funny you mentioned that. There's actually rules for finding bootleg liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a sec here. That just because I think it's funny that they've. Where is it here? Give me a. So it's a no check, which is equal to your education.
Okay.
Well, I'm an educated man.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So I unsurprisingly, Russell's able to get you. You find the local sort of bathtub gin maker in town, and you guys are. Are you staying at the house that evening? Are you kind of hanging out on the front porch? Are you in town? What do you think you can do?
I think we're staying in the house.
Okay,
we'll stay in the house just to be safe, just in case something untoward happens.
Okay, so you spend the evening in the house, and when you go to sleep, and I think you probably take advantage of you know, the hooch that you are able to find to try and help that. But even then, you still have, you can't help but be lit. You know, you're at the slightest sound of something outside.
Oh, for sure.
You start. But after a fitful night of sleep, and both of you dream of wild, blackened tunnels stretching out underneath the town, you know, working their way through to every home. And at that, when the morning comes and you wake up to a cold sweat,
we've invented the sewer system.
Yeah. You make your way over to the you know, you to the breakfast. And is the first thing you do in the morning go to check the books, or do you have? Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah. Before breakfast, go down and go into the library and have a look around.
So you walk across, and that path, you know, and the ground is still, you know, glistening with morning dew.
Yeah.
The wind has died down, so it is a beautiful morning. You can hear the chirping of morning birds. You make your way over to the fallen fence around the corner, and you can see, cast aside is the tarpaulin, and not a single book remains. So you guys, I think that's where we'll end things. So here's one thing I forgot to tell you guys to do. You know, Greg, you may have been doing this as you go along, but Steve,
I checked off my skill.
Okay, cool. So every time you make a successful, when there's a consequence of failure and you make a skill test, what you do is you make a little tick next to that skill.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that you succeeded at spot hidden. Why don't you do this, Steve? I'm going to scroll up here and tick these ones. So tick spot hidden, tick listen.
Listen. Psychoanalysis. I like that one.
Tick library use.
Library use. And
what else did you make?
Dodge and
dodge. You failed. You don't get a tick from a failure.
Oh.
I think. Oh, well, that's Greg's making persuade.
Well, and also like I used
Oh, you used persuade, yeah. Go ahead. Oh no, that was when we were testing out the thing. Okay, so I think that's all. So then what you're gonna do, guys, is everything that's got a tick next to it, go ahead and roll the dice, like click on the skill, just do the green one. And if you roll higher than your skill, that means you get to advance it.
Ooh.
And it goes up by how much?
I think it's 1d10. I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, so if you succeed, it doesn't go up. It's only when you fail.
Yeah, you have to roll on. Yeah. When you fail, or isn't it rolling under your skill?
No, over. Because otherwise,
right. Yes. Yeah, you're rolling over your skill.
Yeah. Let me just double check your advancement.
Oh, I don't think I got any.
You got none? Oh, no. Oh, someone failed his charm, though.
charm and persuade, I failed.
Oh, nice. That's something I like. Like this, it's the organic growth of characters in this system. I think is pretty fucking cool.
Right.
And I think you guys also will regain some. What do you call it? Hold on here. Here's experience points. You'll also regain some sanity because of resolving that that thing. Let me see here.
I really like the 3-roll mechanic as opposed to advantage or disadvantage or opportunity or whatever, where you roll 2 and you take the better or the worse of 2 dice, because that's powerful. Like if it works against you, you're toast usually.
Yeah.
And if it works for you, you win. It's pretty heavy. But with the 3 dice and then the 3 levels of difficulty, you can use probabilities to sort of create a bit more of a bell curve in the effect.
And the pushing, like I love the pushing thing because it adds a fun, risk reward mechanic to it. So Greg, each of those skills that you failed, give me a D10 roll for each of them, and they go up by that amount. That's pretty awesome.
Oh,
one point each.
Okay. Well, it's not nothing.
Not nothing.
And let's see here. And I think it's I thought you regain sanity equal to whatever that monster would have caused the loss of. But so. That could be wrong.
Let's just look here.
So your aging, contacts. Okay. Oh, that's cool. So there's some downtime rules for this edition as well. Just kind of neat. So between adventurers gain sanity points through spending time with an aspect from their own backstory. So that would be. Oh, here we go. Okay, at the end of each successful scenario or campaign chapter, I may specify dice rolls to increase the current sanity points. Why don't you each give me a D4 roll, please? Nice. So you regain 3 and you gain 4. Your max is 99, but yeah, so you guys having faced the unnatural and not being broken by it, you guys go up. Did Greg, when your skills went up, did either of them hit 90%?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, Kev.
Yeah.
I have for understanding it goes 60/60/99.
Yeah.
What is that?
So your max and your current will go up.
Okay. Max goes up too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
By 4. Okay. 1, 2.
Yeah. So your current sanity. Why is there 3 there? I don't know.
Oh, so
yeah.
So like, let's say, so for me, I'd lost sanity.
Yeah.
Okay. So my sanity went above my starting sanity.
Yes.
So it doesn't go like, so if you'd lost sanity, your max doesn't go up by 4. You're just, your max becomes your current. If you've lost sanity,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. You can also undergo psychotherapy to restore sanity points, but it doesn't affect your max.
Yeah.
Self-help. Okay.
So basically, the 1 and 2 number are scenario. You start where you track where you started in the scenario and what your current is.
Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, for just the on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
okay.
Then 99 is the max.
Okay. So then that's I think where we'll end it. So that was a fun little adventure for an intro thing. That's a good little.
No, that's a great adventure.
Yeah, it's a fun way to introduce some monsters and give a nice non-killer way to sort of resolve the scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the cool part about Call of Cthulhu is not everything is resolved by blowing things up.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have shot the guy, but there was obviously more of a story to tell.
Yeah, and I mean, it also, I mean, that's resorting to violence is rarely the right answer in most Cthulhu stuff, if for no other reason because it potentially triggers violence as well.
If we would have shot him, the rest of I'm assuming they're like ghouls or something, come charging out and just tear us to pieces.
Yeah. I need to re-roll, but before we play it again, I do need to reread the rules on what do you call it? Chases, because those seem like they could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Steve, are you still there, or we just lost you in roll 20?
Yo. Oh, I closed roll 20.
Okay. Well, let's get here. I'm going to get out of Roll20, and then I'll commence with the outro. So hold on here. Stop sharing. Close down Roll20. Boom. The ancient flashlight. Turn my camera off. Turn my camera on. So what was that, Steve?
Your stack of books and games getting bigger behind you there?
The amount of games are, unfortunately, but it's not bigger than before. Okay, so for those, Royster, thanks so much, for my ghoul voice. You shouldn't encourage that because I'll only do it more. So, but for those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for this attempt to sort of suss out the or test out the Call of Cthulhu starter box. If you did enjoy the session and you think it might be something that you'd like to try at home, this is the product that you're looking for. It's actually, and it's from what I remember, it's fairly reasonably priced, and it's got 3 adventures in the book as well as a kind of a choose your own adventure thing too. So it is a pretty cool product. But as always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session or the game, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will endeavor to respond in a timely fashion. Alternatively, if you want to reach me on by email, you can reach me at dungeonmusings@gmail.com, or you can reach me on Twitter. You can also find me on the Dungeon Musings podcast, which you can find on Twitcher, on... we lost Greg. Oh, it has to run. Okay. That's right. I had to run a meeting. Chris for food, but it said, okay, great. Greg had to run. What do you call it? You can also find me on the Dungeon Musings podcast as well, which can be found on Stitcher or Anchor or Apple Podcasts or anywhere there. And there's different content. It's not actual play sessions. It's more discussion of running games and things like that, or the ongoing campaigns that I've got on the go. In addition, you may notice in the link or the description of this video, there is a link to something called Heroes Save Villages. That is the charity fundraising campaign that we're running on the channel. And currently, at the time of recording, up until July 1st, 2019, we are running a charity raffle to benefit them. And the raffle is for every $25 donated, you get a chance to try and win one of the very fucking cool prizes we've got on offer. The prizes include things like a copy of the platinum edition of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist Adventure. It's a $500 product that was published by Beetle and Grimm for use with the Dragon Heist Adventure. It's got everything you need to run in there, as well as a bunch of other cool stuff. And it could be yours, or a chance at winning it for only $25. In addition, there's a bunch of other very cool prizes, like core rulebooks for the RuneQuest, a new RuneQuest Glorantha role-playing game, the core rulebook for Legend of the Five Rings, the new one from Fantasy Flight. We just had Modifius contacted me today. We've got a complete set of PDFs for the Star Trek role-playing game and a complete set of PDFs for the Conan role-playing game up as prizes. Modifius, or rather Cubicle 7, has donated a copy of the Warhammer 4th edition fantasy roleplay core book for a prize as well. So there's tons of cool prizes that are available. You can find all about the raffle in a video that I've linked below, and you can enter the raffle at the Heroes Save Villages link. Any donations go to benefit the SOS Children's Villages International Charity. So it all goes towards a good cause, and you might get some cool gaming stuff out of it. Last but not least, I want to give a big thank. Greg's unfortunately gone, but Steve-O, thanks for joining us tonight. I knew you were working, so it was great seeing you pop on at the last minute. Thanks for playing tonight.
I thought that was great fun. Thank you.
Cool. So then, until next time, folks, thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about the session or whatnot. And until next time, happy gaming.